you're kind of like a legend in the community that we live in on the internet.
Well,
So,
thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not sure that I feel like I earned that, but okay.
well,
I
first of
appreciate
all,
that.
I don't want to like start this off. Do you mind if I swear or say explicit
I
things?
don't give a shit what you say.
Okay. So basically,
I imagine the captain hat comes with a lot of cursing.
I am the captain
Arr!
now.
There you go.
The truth is, I don't want to suck your dick too much here, but
Please don't.
in our community, we've seen a lot of your content. We've seen what you've been through. We've watched you battle with Antifa, battle with that weirdo Shiloh. We've seen you do a lot of stuff, and it's my pleasure and my honor to welcome you to the Shizbang stream, and all of our audience here would love to welcome you too. So everybody in the chat, say what's up to WYSIWYG.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And honestly, I do it for you guys and just getting the word out. So I appreciate the love in a big way. Yeah, thank you.
So basically, we got 61 viewers, and they have all seen your stuff a lot of times. I mean, sometimes we have more, sometimes we have less. But the truth is, we watch you, and I have a couple questions. First question is this: how long have you been doing what you do on the internet?
Since August of last year.
Okay, and then what spurred you to start doing it? Like, what did you have an event that you went to originally?
No, I had spent the early part of COVID watching riot porn from across the country. I was sitting in my aunt and uncle's driveway in Kentucky, and I got a text message that there was the Fairfax riot going on, and the helicopter was up overhead, and I turned it on, and I'm watching what's going on, man. I was like, I wish I was there. Like, I don't know. I was blown away. I had no idea this was starting to happen. And I watched that, and then trying to find other live streams, I came across PT News, and have been watching PT News ever since. So I spent all that time watching what was going on and connecting to what was happening in LA because nobody else was carrying it. And by the time I got back to LA, I had learned about some other streamers. And there was another streamer that was here in LA from Portland. And I offered to show her around. And that's what got me kind of this itch to go out and show what was happening because she was leaving.
Which streamer?
But at the same, this was Katie.
I know Katie. She came to Milwaukee.
Yeah. So Katie and
I
spent a week together, and I kind of got the bug from her. But I had seen a news crew from a local Hispanic channel get harassed at a LAUSD school board office building, and
really
that sort of pissed me off because I was told I wasn't allowed to talk to them because it would ruin.
Who was harassing them?
The protesters. They didn't want
Antifa, or
yeah, they weren't Antifa. There wasn't really Antifa there that night. It was just local folks, but there was also like a Trump group and a left group. There was a left and a right group, and they were sort of faced off, and there was a lot going on, and this news crew was trying to record what was happening. Somebody was getting pissed off and throwing things and basically starting some aggression, and this guy went up and stopped him, and I had caught it all on camera, and I had gone to talk to him, and I was like told, no, I can't. I was like, oh, you don't tell me I can't do something. And so that was sort of like, okay, if I'm going to go out, I want to show what's happening, but I also want to be there to protect the other camera crews because, they have a right to be out there, and we want people to see what's going on.
And I love that you said that, because what you do is you show the truth about what's happening in American cities and streets pretty much every night or almost all the time. And you show stuff that the mainstream fake news will never show, or they would exaggerate the numbers on and say it's a lot less, or exaggerate basically just anything to fit whatever they want to say.
Right.
And
And
so
I find it weird that I go out and I point out, oh, look, here's the local news crews. They're here. Or, look, there's no local news crews around. I'm the only camera that's out here. Or, oh, there's another, like streamer or somebody. And then all of a sudden the news crews show up at the end when everything's kind of over and done with. And you go, wait a minute, where were you guys when the huge crowd was here? Where were you guys when everything was going on? So it feels weird to point that out, but it is something that I like to do just because people need to know there's a reason why I'm out there and why decentralized news cameras are something that's happening right now.
Well, it's also true what you said. They come out there maybe at the end, or they don't come out there at all, but they still report a full story about they know exactly everything that happened. And they're portraying a false image or narrative of what truly took place. But what you're doing is important because it's showing the truth. And that's...
You want one of my favorite stories?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned Shiloh.
I love if this is the story I hope that it is, I love this story.
This is about a news crew from CBS 2 that showed up for the 1-year anniversary of Breonna Taylor. And on the flyer that went out, this was in Hollywood. And they had a 6:00 meetup at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And I showed up down there, I think it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours early, because I wanted to see how everybody showed up and what happened and just kind of watch what was gonna unfold. And there was a CBS 2 news crew van parked directly across the street from the entrance where Antifa was gonna meet. And Antifa wasn't there. I went over and I pulled up and I parked in front of him. I got out and I talked to the guy inside the van. I said, hey, do you know what's going on tonight? He's like, yeah, there's some sort of protest. I go, yeah, there's a protest, all right. I'm just going to warn you, you probably don't want to park right here. This is probably a bad idea. And he's like, why? Who is it? I go, well, it's all Antifa. And he's like, oh, I'll be okay.
Oh, he's no idea.
He had no idea.
Naive
45 minutes
boy.
later, 45 minutes later, directly in front of his van, across the street from the entrance, he's got 8 Antifa. You could see him panicking, and he dropped all his stuff and took off. And he comes up the street and parks, and I eventually go over there and talk to him, and now he's got security with him, and he's got a journalist, on-air personality with him.
Okay.
And I start talking to her, and she's like, what's Black Bloc? Now, this has been going on for a year in LA. And I looked at her and go, you don't know what Black Bloc is? When they dress in black? She goes,
that's funny.
What do you mean they dress in black? I go, okay, let's have this quick conversation. Let me grab my phone. I'll show you the flyer. I'll show you what this is, because this is going to be a violent protest. It had the writing all over it. It said, come and block, no cameras.
It probably said move like water or some of that really cringe.
You didn't see shit. That's like their thing when they're going to go out and do stuff that they shouldn't be doing. You didn't see shit. And I sort of told her what's going on. Well, the whole night they were like us. They were kind of moving around, and they moved to a parking lot, and they'd get out and they'd record a little bit. And they were like, hey, thanks for the heads up. I was like, oh, I'm glad you know, but I'd love to tell you more about this if you really want to do it. They didn't want to hear. They really didn't. They didn't want to tell the story, what happened. And even what they reported was such horse shit. It was like, okay, it's clear you're not allowed to tell what just happened. But yeah, they went through Hollywood, destroying windows and painting and setting fires. And it was a pretty fun night. It was a tough night for a live stream because, I refused to dress up and hide, but it was a pretty exciting night. And then we had that sort of tense moment with Shiloh and some of the other Antifa at the end when they all de-blocked and trying to get away from the kettle that was happening. And it was a pretty exciting, fun night.
So that was the day that Shiloh came in and attacked you?
No. So
what happened with Shiloh this night? You just saw him and you were recording him?
Oh, you're talking about the Dante Wright night, which was the Saturday following.
I want to get to that.
Yeah.
But you said, something about Shiloh this night.
This was a month 2 months before.
Okay.
And as I was out and about, just kind of watching what was going on, and I was driving around, seeing where everybody was parked, and seeing how they were blocking up and going over to the entrance to the cemetery.
All of this in Hollywood.
All this in Hollywood, right
Wow.
on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Jesus.
And as I turn a corner, I see this person kind of look at me funny, like he knows who I am. I didn't realize it was Shiloh. I didn't really know what Shiloh looks like now. I've only seen like the Blue Steel modeling photos and his Twitch stream. You know, he just looks like a, you know,
like a
drug
ghoul?
addict, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't even, heroin addict doing a show.
At this point, your reputation preceded yourself, but not him though. He knew who you were,
I guess,
but not the other way
He
around.
recognized me. He called me out, and I was like, I rolled down my window. I was actually excited. I go, hey, let's talk. Let's have, you know, a moment. And he's just angry, and he walks away from me. So I drive up the block, circle around the corner, come up the other street where he had just now gotten to the corner, and he sees me pull up, and I've got Discord going. And so everybody that's in my Discord's listening to this conversation, hearing him yelling at me. And standing directly behind him is roughly 200 Antifa, a lot of them from out of town. It turned out to be a huge turnout for the Breonna Taylor thing. And at the same time, over his shoulder, these other two, this 45th News Brigade crew, show up. And they don't know what's around the corner to their left is 200 Antifa hearing Shiloh yelling at me and start running towards us. And I yelled, "Get the fuck in my truck." And they're looking at me like, what's going on? I go, "Get in the fucking truck." And they finally jump in, and we take off as the 200 Antifa come up. And that's what started their whole march. So, and then Shiloh talked about me on his live stream as he's doing Umbrella Brigade. He was on, what does he call it? Antifa Umbrella Block. Umbrella Block was his.
What a stupid name that is.
Yeah, it was his job for the night. So he basically walked around telling people, "Oh, there's construction going on," which is them breaking windows and doing all this stuff. And that was a great stream. It gave you a really good first-person view of what it's like to be part of Antifa. I think he showed a little more than he should have, personally, but he still got it up.
Every time watching Shiloh streams, when he's streaming, he's so angry. I feel like he has absolutely smoked meth before he went out. Because he's like, I feel like he's yelling through clenched teeth like, "Oh, I hate America. I hate everybody. Oh, I'm so mad. Burn." Like,
yeah.
I don't know what that guy's deal is, but there's definitely something going on.
It's sad.
I mean, it's a little funny, but it is sad too.
Yeah, no, it's funny that somebody can have that much hatred towards people, and the things he says and does, and it's funny because he just did this live stream the other night, where he went through his old footage, and somebody had sent me a message saying, "Hey, you got to check this out. I just watched this," and I went back and I watched it, and he even admits like it's cringy what he was saying that night during his live stream. He sort of like accepts that, yeah, it's cringy, but he doesn't care. He's just that angry and upset with the world, and you know, he hates Trump supporters. He hates anybody that disagrees. And you have to. That's what you have to do to be on the left. You have to ignore facts. You have to ignore the truth, and you just put on these blinders. This is what I have to do. I have to accept these things, and if I don't do that, I can't be on the left. So I just have to, you know.
I want to say something.
Dumb as shit. Yeah.
There's a time back in the day. By the way, if you don't mind, my monitor with our faces on it is over here. That's why I'm looking this way. I'm trying to sometimes put my face towards the camera, but I really have to look at you, which is over here. So don't think I'm looking away or anything. Okay. But anyways.
I get it.
But anyways. Back in the day, the right wing used to be Puritan, very Christian. If you called somebody the wrong name, they would get upset with you. If you called somebody something offensive, they would get upset with you. But how times have changed. Nowadays, the left has a whole thing where if you say the wrong sexual orientation, gender, you call somebody the wrong name, they're different racial makeup, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Now they're offended. So it's
Right.
just crazy to see how circular things are, how cyclical things go. Because you're right about, on the left, you have to be so far left that you have to be offended for other people. You have to be offended for another person who someone made a joke about a Chinese guy. Well, you're a white guy, but you have to be offended for the Chinese guy because the Chinese guy over there is laughing, but because you think the joke is racist, you have to be offended.
Right.
So what's the point of getting offended by shit that you're not even offended by? You get me?
Right. Yeah. Oh, no, it's, yeah. We actually were having this conversation earlier today because we realized in watching a video that Rocky Romano, who's the press guy that got hit on the back of the head on the third at WYSIWYG, when he chases after the guy who hit him, throws out all the things that you're not supposed to say. The sexual orientation slurs. I won't even say it now. And
you can say like F-bomb, N-bomb, stuff like that.
Yeah, like literally, you hear the shit he says.
C-bomb.
That the F word towards a gay man.
Oh my god.
Like,
he's
calling this guy that over and over again, and it's like, wait a minute. And he writes a letter and basically says, "Yeah, I'm not proud of what I said." Well, the funny thing is I literally get attacked and beaten, and you never once heard me make a racial slur. You never heard me. It's like, wait. So I'm not trying to be more right, but my instinct isn't to be an asshole. And it's always the left's instinct. The day I got attacked not attacked, the day they harassed us at City Hall, they're saying some of the most misogynistic, racist shit you'll ever hear.
I've heard it on your stream, buddy.
And it's unbelievable. It's like, wait, these are the people who are the social justice warriors? They go that fast to the worst language you could ever have.
They are the most racist, evil
yes.
people that are the most hateful. And they have a feign, they feign that they love everybody and this is like for peace or like to help people, but no, it's not. It's because they want to destroy. Like, just look at Chaz and Chop. Yeah, what is this? The girl called it the Summer of Love? No. Summer of Death and Destruction. And everything around it died. Like, terrible. So these people are out here saying that what we're doing is right. This is for peace. This is whatever. They call themselves anti-fascist. They're fucking fascist. They're everything that they say that they're not, and they're trying to destroy America.
They're not fascist because you got to remember they've created their own definition that suits their needs. Not what the true fascist is, but what they're calling fascist is what we are.
Well, it's funny because
I'm the neo-Nazi. I'm the white supremacist. I don't do any of those things, but by their definition and what suits their needs to hate me, I am that. So. Andy No tweeted out a really helpful cheat sheet today. I don't know if everybody saw it. It was really good. It's fucking spot on. Too.
Everybody go to
and that's why they hate him so much. Yeah.
What the cheat sheet say?
It basically gives the breakdown of all the language that they use. And unfortunately, I think I have it on my other phone, but yeah, I do. It was just the language of the left and the definitions of the words that they use that suit their purpose and how it works for them. And it's just sort of a comprehensive graphical guide. And it was brilliant. It was really good. I don't think he made it. Somebody else made it, and he tweeted it out. But it was spot on. They've been really pissed at Andy for a couple of days, especially Vishal.
I love that. Wait, Vishal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well. Vishal hates Andy because he claims Andy does all the things that Vishal actually does. So there's a lot of projection going on there. But
my mind went to Rachel Dolezal, the fake black woman.
Yeah.
The leader of some black groups in whatever city, but she's actually a white woman. Oh, good.
Yeah. No. Yeah, Vishal. Yeah, he's got a whole different thing going on. The journalist.
I don't really know who
So,
that is. Is this guy notable? Is this something you want to? Is that guy you want to talk about? You want to enlighten me?
I don't want to talk about him. He's become a thorn in everyone's side here in California, here in Los Angeles.
Okay.
He's part of the left-wing hate group that runs around LA, burning, looting, doing all the awful things that have been happening here. And he's their media wing. He's part of that team that goes out and creates a narrative that is just complete horseshit, and lies about the police and everything else that's going on, to create this divide that we've been seeing. Him and others like to dox patriots, people who fight for this country, believe in what this country is and what it stands for, which is a place for everyone, and all the good things. But they twist and turn things because we have a difference of ideas. And so Vishal's part of what builds the hate in LA and the disconnect between people here, and people are getting upset and over it. And Vishal has just recently decided he's going to sue the city over them breaking his hand during the protest at WYSIWYG on the 17th.
This is the white man?
Yes. What was different about that was because it was Metro officers, which is Los Angeles's version of SWAT. They were out there doing riot control. And they're the guys with the 3-inch long, what they call bats, which is a nightstick, but it's a much bigger nightstick.
You said 3 inches long though? That's tiny. It's like
3 foot. I'm sorry, 3 foot. Okay. 3 foot long. Yeah.
Gotcha.
That basically is what I've heard they're referred to. And
sounds like
they're the guys in blue rather than the guys in black. The guys in black are all LAPD officers. The ones that were in blue with the long bats, they're all Metro officers, and they do SWAT, and they're trained differently. They're tactical, and they were there to stop what was going on. And Vishal's in a position, they're yelling at him, "Get back." He's not getting back, along with other protesters. And these officers are not, going to take nonsense. They're going to move you back. They're going to make you do what they're asking you to do.
This guy was at the protest, right?
Yeah.
And he was getting shoved back with these bats. I'm trying to paint a picture in my head.
Yeah, there's plenty of video, and maybe I can send you something that you could play.
If I was good at video editing it, maybe I would cut this in. I'll have to learn how to edit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when
I know
the
when
Patriot Group.
Okay, go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead.
The Patriot Group had marched because they were supposed to be in front of WYSIWYG protesting at 11 o'clock. And I call it the Patriot Group because I don't know what else to call it. It's the group of people who didn't want to see male genitalia in the women's sauna at the WYSIWYG. It was just that simple. The left claims that it's all about transphobia. It's not transphobic. It's about safe spaces, something they have been telling us about for a long time. And it was the women who had an issue with it. And so this group of people that were there to protest WYSIWYG marched down the road, and the group of Antifa that were sitting there waiting for this group to show up, they're getting all riled. They all kind of run together and meet about a block away from the WYSIWYG, and LAPD swoops in from the side and cuts off the two groups, thankfully, because I think there would have been a rumble in the street at that point.
Wow.
And they come in, they swoop, and they separate the two groups, and the Antifa side starts throwing gas canisters, smoke canisters, rocks, bottles, whatever they had at the Patriots. And LAPD, as soon as stuff starts getting thrown, you hear the non-lethal rounds going off, people getting shot at. They're going to control the scene, and that's exactly what happened. And Vishal's in there with a bunch of other media people, and they're being told to move back. They don't move back. Vishal's making movements. Everybody's making movements. The cop swats at his hand, and he apparently I saw a broken finger in the X-ray, but somehow he broke his arm in the X-ray. I don't know. I saw the fracture in his finger. The cop swatted at his camera, or his hand that was out forward of him, and he hits his camera. So Vishal's suing the city for this. I don't even know what he's suing him for. Honestly, I could give a fuck. But he's suing the city along with this other young man, Alejandro, who first, one of the Patriots they were pushing him back. A bunch of Antifa, and there's these two Patriot guys, and they're getting pushed back by Antifa down Wilshire Boulevard. The cops aren't here at this point on the 3rd. And they're throwing rocks at these two guys. They're actually kind of surrounded. And as they back up, what I'm hearing is that Antifa's pulled knives out. Two of the Antifa guys have pulled out knives and are threatened to gut these guys. Oh. And they're working their way back in the crowd. Somebody's throwing rocks at them. And the one guy gets out his bear mace or pepper spray, whatever, big canister, and hoses them down as they're throwing shit at him. Well, this Alejandro guy comes up behind him and hits him over the back of the head with a batter's helmet that one of the other Antifa people had dropped earlier in the day while they were assaulting somebody else. So shit happens, right? And so this melee happens. And at this point, the knives are out, and this Alejandro guy, you see him in this blue and red plaid shirt. They're fighting. He's punching somebody, and the person he's punching has a knife, and you see he stabs him in the leg. Thankfully, Rocky Romano captures it on film. The only thing that he captured that day, apparently, he didn't capture anything of me getting assaulted on his camera that he's holding up the entire time as he's chasing me around as they're trying to get me. Of course, he doesn't have that, but he's got the stabbing portion. And so Alejandro gets stabbed a couple times in the leg, and they went nuts. They're like, "Oh my God, the Patriots are stabbing people. They're even stabbing their own people. Why would they do that? Why would they do that?" Well, because you're a fucking bunch of hoodlums attacking people for no reason, and that's why. But don't look there. So Alejandro, he's going to end up dropping that case. I know he is. There's too much video of him doing some really awful things that day, and I think his lawyer will end up going, "Look, man, I'm not doing this case because we're not going to win this case. You were a fool. You assaulted people with a deadly weapon, even though it was a batter's helmet, which is made to protect your head. He used it to hit somebody on the head twice while they weren't looking, as they were backing up away from the people who were attacking them." So there's a lot of funny stuff that happened that day. But anyway, sorry, I was carrying on.
This is great. I love this. This is why I wanted to do this.
A lot of pent up anger about this stuff, especially after watching the social media for last week.
Please go ahead and vent out here on Shizbang channel. This is what it's for. This is a positive channel that we go ahead and get rid of all this pent up anger.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, using a batter's helmet, using anything in a way that is, if you hit anybody in the head with anything, it could be a deadly weapon. You could kill someone with just anything, really.
Your foot actually becomes a deadly weapon when you're stomping somebody's head into a curb.
Bingo. And you could turn a fucking, I don't know, I don't want to say toothpick, but just any insignificant item into a weapon. Potentially. Yeah.
Do you know where mutual combat is no longer mutual combat? Do you know what mutual combat is?
Well, I know that there's mutual combat laws in some states where you can agree to fight, but not everywhere. Right.
California has a mutual combat rule.
Okay, so I don't know all about it.
A member of Antifa and a member of the Patriot group go face to face in the streets.
They agree to
and
square
start throwing punches at each other. Mutual combat. Now, not to say that you can't be prosecuted for it, but if one gets prosecuted, so does the other. So they both basically null and void each other out, and it's considered mutual combat. Wouldn't be. But the minute it becomes not mutual combat is the minute a weapon is introduced.
Yeah, I can see that. That's like deadly assault.
So that's where it changes, and then it becomes an assault with a deadly weapon, depending on what, and how it's done.
How it's utilized. Right?
Yeah, correct. So I learned that over the whole thing about the 3rd. So it's been a fascinating learning experience.
All right, so before I move on to my next question, do you have any more, do you have anything else you want to talk about that story? The last one, the really good one with Andy No, and what is his name?
Oh,
The reporter guy, the Antifa reporter.
Vishal P. Singh is his name.
I'm not never gonna
As a
remember
journalist. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay.
that. You're gonna have to
It's important
type
for
that
the
one to
LA
me on
people to
Discord.
know who he is. What?
You're just gonna have to type his name to me on Discord later.
Okay.
So then I can look him up.
Yeah, and see his tweets. They're really like, if you were writing a fairy tale novel, his writing is beautifully dreamt up and just not truthful whatsoever.
So my man is a fiction writer, but he acts like
He is a full fiction writer,
But he
and
acts like he's a
everybody
news
on the left
reporter.
thinks he's a god. So
idiot.
yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna
What else
ask
do you wanna
you.
know?
This is a random left ball question, but I know
Okay.
that you are based over there in California. Have you ever had any encounters with a streamer known as Precious Child?
Yes, I like.
Tell
Precious.
me about that, please. You do?
I like Precious because Precious is one of the only people from, and I won't say only people. He's one that will it depends on what day you're
Just
talking.
go ahead and say whatever you want, but yeah, we don't. You know.
Precious doesn't correct me. Precious also speaks to me in a very deep voice, and we have very masculine conversations. So that's why for me it's he.
Okay.
And I believe with Precious it changes because there's days where Precious is very feminine and female and appears female.
And wears makeup.
Every time I've talked to Precious, always very masculine, always very raw, deep voice.
That's true.
We have sort of a little bit of a past history, but we have been very friendly, would say hi to each other on the streets and turn off our microphones and, pleasantries. But also, too, is Precious was always very cautious about when he talked to me because he wants to make sure nobody's seeing us talk, because I think he was concerned about what would happen if he got caught talking to me, as like what happened with Kaylin and, pretty much anybody who associated with me, they don't like. And so even when, say, Quincy was out with me, I said, look, you got to ignore the fact that we know each other because it puts you in harm's way if you do. So he was a little bummed by that, but it worked for him that day. So, but yeah, I like Precious. I don't agree with Precious on a lot of things, and we've had some great conversations. Precious actually is a person that will talk about these issues. And in fact, I reached out to Precious through Instagram direct message to find out when it was an Instagram post that was done where he claimed that he was sort of the person allegedly in the Wii Spa, and everybody went nuts and the death threats and everything. And I had to ask, hey, was it really you? No, it wasn't me. Thank you for asking. Nobody else has asked that question. And my point was, well, you made it seem pretty clear that you were the person in there, and that's why you're getting all of this. Why don't you help correct the record and make sure people understand that it wasn't you? And you're like, no, I don't want to. I was like, wait. And Precious even admitted that on the aspect of a penis in the women's sauna, he was not okay with. He's like, that's not cool. If it was a co-ed room, then yes, that's okay. I said, well, sure, I understand that, because everybody would have a different expectation or know that there's this possibility of this expectation and can make the decision for themselves. But you're in a women's room, and Precious admitted to me that that's not okay, and what happened wasn't okay. And I think that's why they had to create this narrative of it being a hoax, because on its own, nobody agrees with them.
Can I pause you for 1 second?
Yeah.
For the folks at home listening who don't know exactly what happened at Wii Spa and what that incident was about, would you mind giving a quick rundown about what happened and why the protests broke out there, please? If you don't mind.
Right. So July 3rd was the Saturday immediately following, earlier that week, where a woman, her daughter, who was, I think, 12 or 13 years old.
A biological woman.
Then biological woman.
Be specific with this.
Yeah. So specifically, a black woman whose Instagram account is Cubana Angel. her and her daughter, who is 12, 13, were there with Cubana Angel's friend and that woman's daughter, who
All
was,
right,
I
so
believe,
let me break this
15.
down. A mother, her 14-year-old daughter, and her 13-year-old friend, the daughter's friend, right?
And the mother of that daughter,
Oh, so two
the mother of
mothers
that
and
girl.
two
Yeah, it was two
daughters.
moms and two
Okay,
daughters.
okay.
Go to the We Spa, which is a family, and it's like Disneyland of Korean spas. Super nice, but family. They have family sections. They're award-winning spa, but they were in a women's only sauna when somebody came in who's supposed to be a woman but had a penis, and according to Cubana Angel, semi-erect. So who knows what that means? Whatever, some people are showers, some are growers, whatever. So Cubana Angel is offended by this. She grabs her phone or her camera and she starts recording. And she goes out to the entry where she talks to a manager and says, "Look, there's a man in the women's sauna, and this is unacceptable." And the manager says to her on camera, "We are in California. We can't discriminate on sexual orientation or preferred gender." And she says the person said they identified as a woman and we can't stop them from going into the women's sauna. So she literally on camera admits that this happened, that this person said that they identified as a woman. But all the media, they ignore that in the video. They ignore that this happened. They ignore that the manager admits that there's somebody in the sauna that is not a woman, that identifies as a woman, has a penis, and goes in, and it upset this woman. And she couldn't understand why the sauna would allow that to happen. And it is understandable that the sauna and they believe in not discriminating, and they have on their website, they're open to everyone. Right. Should be that way.
In California, of course.
But there's still this weird gray area that Cubana Angel is calling out is we are in a women's sauna. If a trans person who is post-op, who does not have a penis, showed up, it's not a problem, according to her. It's the fact that there's this penis dangling in front of them with the daughters, and they don't want to see that. And that's what it was about. And so that's why this protest was set up, and it was supposed to be at 11 o'clock on Saturday the 3rd. Well,
and it was a protest against WYSIWYG for letting penises into the women's sauna.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Just for the people at home.
That's exactly, in the simplest terms, that's what it was. So the trans community and the Antifa community and the people who oppose anything, that goes against their beliefs, decided that they were going to go out, and some believe that Precious was actually the person who organized this event. I don't know that that's true or false, but
he's getting credit for it.
He's getting credit for it either way.
Precious doesn't like me. I'm banned off of his YouTube channel.
Yeah. They decided they were going to go out at 10 o'clock and be out there before the protesters that were going out to protest, like they typically do. They'll be first on the ground, and they're going to stop people from protesting. And then that turned into 9 a.m. Myself and Quincy showed up at 9 and saw how they basically had fortified the area around the WYSIWYG, and you could tell at 9 o'clock that it was going to be one of those days. And sure enough, from what you saw hopefully you saw the videos of the woman in pink getting attacked, Hyro, who is the organizer apparently of the protest for the WYSIWYG, he was attacked by Antifa. Anybody who showed up to protest was promptly pushed out, ran out, beaten up from the WYSIWYG on the 3rd, up until the group of patriots came down, and that's when the police finally showed up. and broke that up. So there was a number of assaults, half dozen assaults minimum, on their own that occurred that day before the police showed up.
I don't know how much time you have, but do you want to?
I'm not going anywhere.
All right. So let's just break this down.
Yeah.
The woman in pink. Let's talk
Yeah.
about her.
Yeah.
In your
Gutsy.
words. All right. So you know who she is?
I don't know her name. She's the one that had the hat that gets caught up against the wall on the Rampart Street side of the WYSIWYG building underneath the trees. And she's held back mainly by a number of women being told to leave. And a couple of guys that are in there pushing on her, picking at her, just being assholes. That's exactly who these people are.
Right?
Yeah. They're all Antifa. Not everybody is in block. Most of them were in block. Some of the same people that attacked me that day. But that's like their enforcer group, you know. And then you've got one guy who's there to make sure that the beating doesn't go too far. He stands back a little bit on every one of these attacks. You see him standing off to the side. And once a few punches get in there, he jumps in and goes, cut it up, break it up, break it up. That was his job all day, that day.
Okay, kind of a
which
weird
is really
job.
sad. Yeah.
So, the next assault, you said it was by Antifa on, who was it? The other one that you mentioned?
So it started with Hyro in the morning.
Yeah, that guy, the organizer.
Hyro's the video that you see where he's got his little bag full of signs, and a woman named Jamie Penn, who I'm not doxing her. Her name's out there. She's
a public figure.
She's a public figure in Los Angeles on the city council and
right.
The
She's
local
not city
council.
She's obviously a public figure, so it's obviously not.
And she just happens to be a trans woman. She had a lovely dress on that day, but she goes over there and harasses Hyro, and then another young man goes over and takes a sign. And this young man, he's in Black Bloc. And I'm not going to say his name because it's out there. You guys can figure it out.
By the way, Twitch TOS is really hardcore about some of these rules. So just don't.
Right. I just avoid it anyway because they know, and the people that need to know who they are, and that's all that matters.
Okay.
But this young man goes over there and takes one of Hyro's signs on camera, and Hyro's like, "No, you're not going to take my shit." And he pulls out pepper spray and he pepper sprays the guy. And the guy then proceeds to start punching him, and they push him down the street. And then a whole group of them rush in and start kicking and beating on Hyro when the two security guards in suits, who clearly are like some sort of trained either military or police, sort of protect Hyro, and a friend of Hyro's comes in and coddles him, and that's the end of that. But you hear the tauntings of the group and the pack mentality of what happens. And that was the first attack, I think, that morning. And why he was there by himself so early, I don't know. I think he thought he was safe. He wasn't. He had no idea that these guys were out there. And he did, but he still went up and thought, okay, I'm going to go and stand there and protest, which was across the street from the WYSIWYG. And they couldn't let him have that space. They couldn't let him be across the block from the entrance. That's how these people are. You know,
the fact that
there's no discussion, there's no understanding what the problem is.
The fact that they're allowed to exist in America and that they're being supported by basically every corporation, every I'm just going to go ahead and say BLM and Antifa have been supported by every corporation. They all changed their name to this Black Bloc shit. They all do all this crazy stuff to like support Antifa for what? For them to be full on anti-American bad guys who basically want to destroy our cities, want to see white people dead, want to go back to discriminatory laws like in California. They want, they want to. Antifa and BLM are glorified in the media, the news, the commercials, everything on TV, the fake news and the fake. And I know you live in LA, but Hollywood is full of fake bullshit and pushing some sort of weird narrative that I hate. And the fact that they're trying to pull this shit and pull a fast one on us there's clearly something going on, and I don't like it because they're trying to make me look like a bad guy when I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
Right.
And I'm not the bad guy. I'm a good guy.
Right. Yeah.
So I love America, you know, our military, the police, and the people who keep law and order, keep our country safe. And why is everyone fighting against that? And why is that a good thing? I mean, I get like the Vietnam War and the hippie cultures back in the day. Maybe they didn't think that war was like whatever, but right now we're pulling out of the Middle East and we're just trying to like not burn our own cities down. So I just don't understand, other than being methed out or some shit, why people would want to do that.
Yeah. It's they do it through mutual aid. Have you heard that term with Antifa?
No.
Sorry, I'm just trying to keep my phone charging here.
Also, I don't know why corporations would follow suit, but no, I don't know what mutual aid is. What is that?
There was something called the snack van that they would drive around during the protests.
I know
Portland,
what that is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of mutual aid is having snacks and treats, you know, liquids. Mm-hmm. And actually, too, the snack van was a communication system for them to monitor police and actions that were going on. So it served many purposes, and it was always right there with them. But mutual aid is where they set up GoFundMe accounts to raise money for these provisions. And that's how they get their money. You can donate. Anybody can donate to mutual aid, and that's how they fund themselves. Right? Everybody always thinks it's like Soros or somebody giving them money or whatnot.
People think that, yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be this mutual aid. Like, we just had these guys all get arrested in a kettle that, as Antifa, somebody told me, was anybody could have gotten out of the kettle. It was such a slow kettle that the only reason you got arrested was because you probably wanted to. And it made sense to me because, like, if they get enough people arrested, they create these bail funds. Nobody got charged, so they all got out. And do you think they gave the money back? No. They raised money to be able to go out and protest and do all these other things. So I think it's actually really brilliant work and brilliant marketing that they're doing to get these funds. You know, you had politicians, you had actors, you had bigwigs that were donating to these groups millions of dollars.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, you know. So
it's a scheme.
You go to GoFundMe and you type in whatever group you wanted to support, and you'd find all the different mutual aid GoFundMes, and that's what they do.
Well, you just look at the leaders of BLM. They get all these donations of their funds, and what do they go and do with the money? Do they give it back to the black families, the victims of whatever perceived atrocities happen to them? Do they give the money back to any black communities that are affected by whatever? Or do they go and buy these houses out in the Alps or wherever the fuck? The latter,
in the really nice suburbs.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, they bought the houses. That's what they really did do, and it's on record. So clearly,
they couldn't help themselves. Yeah.
How could you?
They couldn't do the right thing. They were given the opportunity and the money to make changes, and what they did was they made changes to their pocketbooks and to their living arrangements. Good for them.
I would be okay with that if they said we're going to use the money for that.
Sure.
They did a false premise to pretend like they're going to use the money for good.
Right. Evil always exposes itself. It can't help itself. right? That's sort of just what happens, I think. It's karma, you know. I don't know that evil has karma. Evil just exposes itself. So eventually they all do, you know, and the truth comes out, and it's up to us to share the truth, share to people to help them to see in the nicest, kindest, you know, because nobody wants to be scolded. Nobody wants to be,
Hold
you
on
know,
a second.
my 8-year-old doesn't want to be scolded.
Cheers to that, what you just said about the truth. Cheers, man.
Thank you very much. Cheers to you. The truth is always important. You know, sometimes we have to be man enough to accept the truth and to learn about ourselves and learn what the truth is, and, you know, recognize that we've screwed up. You know,
it's not easy to look in the mirror, buddy.
No, it's not. It's tough, and you people, I get it, don't want to be.
They don't want to feel bad. People don't want to feel bad, and they want to feel right.
No.
And they want to feel righteous.
They want to feel right. Yeah. Yeah.
But they're going about it in a way that's cult-like.
Right.
Which is unhealthy.
They'll figure it out at some point.
That's right.
Both sides. There are extremes. Both ends of the spectrum have their problems.
The young people on Antifa will eventually, hopefully, grow up and learn, because I feel like young people just kind of go with what's popular, and they don't really have a critical aspect of the world, like thinking about the world.
Right.
And they just want to get laid or do drugs or whatever the fuck they want to do. But I think those people that are like, you know, 30 that are in there and or older, those guys, they have to look in the mirror, but they definitely don't want to.
No.
They would smash the mirror because they hate what they become, and they have to take their hatred out on the world, in my opinion. Like Shiloh. So, this is perfect segue.
And Shiloh's older.
He's got to be like 30. I don't know. How old is he? 31, 32?
I wish I could remember.
Who cares?
Late 30s, early 40s.
What?
I feel like I know this, but I don't.
Holy shit, I didn't know he was that old.
A great example is that billboard that he had. I think it was in Paris, or it was in one of the big European cities, and it was for this clothing company, and it's like a gray-haired Shiloh. It's a 4-story tall billboard on a construction site of an old building.
Gray hair.
I just got word he's 43 years old.
Oh my good God. Are you kidding me?
And he's not that old, but, you know, for a model.
He's for sure trying to look 20, man.
He's trying. But, you know, apparently he wears the hair extensions because his hair is really thin. And
now you're blowing my mind. I can't believe this right now.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to ruin, like, the whole, like, Hollywood glamour of
You're ruining my
Steel,
immersion right now, man. Of the Blue Steel. You're ruining my immersion of the Blue Steel, man. Holy shit. Hair extensions, 43? Ah!
Yeah. You know, he always dresses really nice. That's how you can pick him out at the protests is he wears all model clothes. He wears the clothes that he gets when he models. So he's got the nice boots on, and he's got the nice pants on. And you know, he tries to look Antifa, but it's a 3/4 length, you know, leather jacket or, you know, something fancy. And he just sticks out like a sore thumb. And it's funny. He's always got to look great. He's Chaz Cunningham.
Yeah,
is his gamer name.
You know,
I don't know if you've seen that, but
GTA RP.
Oh, it's hysterical.
He plays on a shitty server. Let me tell you.
Well, yeah, it's all Antifa buddies.
I'm gonna get on his server one day because I know about GTA RP, dude. I'm just gonna fucking stream snipe him next time he's live and just kill him over and over again. And I'm gonna talk shit while I'm doing it in game.
That's awesome.
I gotta think of a new name.
I don't play the games.
Nah, I'll get you in. Me and you'll team up.
It took me a little while watching it because I thought they were talking about real life. Like they're so into the game and so into what they're doing with, they're growing weed. They're then, bricking it up, and they're like, got to get the bags. They got to get all the stuff. It's like, actually, I didn't realize how involved that game was. And I thought they were talking about real life stuff and these, this job that he's got. And it was so confusing. I'm like, wait, does he really like work? Did he just buy a bar on Sunset? Like it was hysterical. And I finally figured out that it's they're so immersed into that game and what they're doing. And I'm like, it's a 43-year-old man playing this game for hours. And that's like his life. He's just totally into it.
That's his life.
And just hear that how they talk to each other, and they were dancing. They were at a strip club the other night, and it was just the funniest shit.
Listen, me and you are gonna team up and get in that server and fucking get some guns and just so stupid crew.
I'll have to come to you because I don't have stuff that games and does that.
No, it's easy. You have a computer. It's easy. You only need 2 programs.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto and the RP thing. But yeah, dude, I'm telling you, it's so funny. But they play on a shitty server. Like, there are good servers, like the ones that I would play on if I were to play right now, which I'm not. But the dude's on a shitty server, but it's funny that they grow weed and talk about it like it's for real life. But it is. It's like they think it's an immersion thing, but I don't know. It is. They think it's like real serious or whatever.
And for somebody who hates cops so much, he sure loves cop cars. I just find it hysterical. Like, if you really hate the cops that much, why would you even have them in the game? But anyway.
Oh my God, I should try to become a cop on his server.
There you go.
And then put him in jail and make him sit in the cell for like an hour and a half while I like go through his paperwork.
I'd love to watch that. I would love to watch that. Just keep arresting him.
Yeah, I'll arrest him.
Maybe beat him up a little bit before you, like
hit him with the bat.
Can he go to like can he file a complaint against you at the police station? Is that possible in there?
Yeah, who cares though? I don't care if I get banned off that server. Who gives a shit? I'll go there specifically for one reason. And when I get banned, that I'm okay with it.
All right.
All right. Hold on.
That's good.
Now I got a couple questions before we leave. Arex, have you ever had any encounters with Arex?
Arex is
Johnson.
I don't know.
Female
I know I've heard the name, but there's a few people that sort of still elude me. Another streamer, right?
Yeah, female streamer. Live streamer.
Female streamer, Portland?
Portland, yes.
She's not from LA. Yeah, not from LA. Has she ever been to LA?
Maybe.
I don't know. She's an Antifa streamer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a story.
It's funny. When I started streaming, I stopped watching everybody else's streams. I just haven't had time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or I get highlights, but I used to really enjoy watching everybody. It's funny where I am right now. The last few days, I've been watching a bunch of different things going on. I kind of miss just sitting home and watching. And now the experience with Discord and everything that we're doing makes it that much more fun. But yeah.
Let me tell you a really funny story that you're going to laugh at, all right?
Yeah. Okay.
So one day, we were watching Arex's stream with my community, all right? And we were watching it, and I was in her chat, and I was typing in there. We were just, whatever, talking. And then I had people donating to ask questions to Arex. And I'm going to admit some of them were a little weird, but not totally inappropriate. But the question that rings in my mind that I asked her, that I just typed it in her chat, which she responded to, because somebody donated me money to ask this question. It was, what does Arex smell like? Now, I'm ashamed to say this, but someone donated to me and I asked in her chat, and then she read it and she started responding to it. And she's like, well, I use whatever soap and I, patchouli and sun oil or whatever bullshit. I make some of that up, but she started saying stuff. But while she was responding to my text, or whatever question, a cop with a pepper ball shot her directly in the vag on camera.
Oh,
Boom!
the distraction.
Yeah, we distracted her long enough, and she got hit right in the vag. She's like, "Ah, my vagina!" And she like ran away, dude. And dude, that was the last time she ever streamed. And I did that, and I'm proud of it.
You should be. Oh,
I'm proud.
I wasn't going to use proud. Oh,
because I stopped an Antifa streamer, man.
You stopped an Antifa streamer. You were the death of an Antifa streamer, or the end of.
That's right. I did that. I'm part of that. I'm part of that history.
But now it's one less camera to watch. So that's the mental gymnastics I play. Is, you know, left or right, the more eyes we have, the more coverage we have, the more, you know, hopefully we have to show people, even though, you know, like with the left, it's looking at the ground or at the sky. But, you know, there's still a lot you can learn from those moments. And as much as I want to see Shiloh get kicked off, you know, I also want to see more of his live streams, because he has that ability to be within Antifa during a march, giving us that third person view that is extraordinary at telling the story about how awful these people are. So as much as I would like to see him shut down, I think it's important that we can still see him.
I could have said it better myself, because I have the same mental gymnastics that you go through, which are, as much as I would love to see America be a peaceful country without Antifa wrecking the streets all the time, I would love to see that. That's what I want.
Yeah.
But I basically make my money on these weirdo Antifa out there protesting and shit. So, and the people want to see the content.
Right.
So, I fully understand what you're saying more than you know.
I've got an idea for you. You ready?
Yes.
And this is only because I don't know you. I'm just going to throw this out there. You've got the hat on. I started watching this guy who sits at this harbor inlet, and he watches the boats go through this channel that is super rough and people have a hard time navigating. He has enough videos and content. You could make an entire 12-hour daily stream talking about the boats going in and out. It is the most enjoyable internet visually, you know, stream that I've watched in a long time.
Send me that link after this.
I will. Now that I think about it. Yeah, I'll find it. It's just watching these boats go in and out of this inlet. He had a great video of the Hero Blue Top, or it was these two beautiful brunettes in their bikinis bouncing up and down in this Boston whaler trying to get through the chop, and they've got the blue canopy overhead. And for some reason they kept going in and out, but they were just having such a blast jumping over these waves in this little tiny Boston whaler. And at one point they hit the wave the wrong way. The girl corrects and she catches herself by her foot, and she total pucker moment, but it was awesome.
I love that.
Yeah, good content. Way better than, you know, Antifa and whatnot, even at their peak, and setting shit on fire and trying to kill officers and burn people alive in buildings. The girls in the blue boat, or the blue bimini top boat,
in the bikinis,
will make you way more money.
I'm going to tell you, I am a boatsman. That's why I have the captain's hat. I've been sailboat racing on Lake Michigan for over 20 years.
Did you do the Mackinac race?
I have done the Mackinac race over like 6 times.
Okay, cool. Very good.
For the people at home, that's a race all the way from Chicago. This is Wisconsin. That's Wisconsin.
There you go.
All the way from Chicago, which is like down here in Illinois, up Lake Michigan, all the way through Lake Superior into Mackinac Island over here. And it's 3 days on the water. 3 days on the water with 9 other salty seamen.
Chicago's over here. Detroit's over here.
No.
Detroit,
Wisconsin.
Chicago.
If this is Wisconsin, this is Green Bay. This is Milwaukee right here.
The thumb?
No.
Detroit's over here.
Milwaukee's down here. This is Lake Michigan right here. Over here.
Okay. Now either one of us is completely drunk. I'm just saying.
You know, Wisconsin.
Oh.
Look at Wisconsin. It looks like a hand.
Yeah. So Michigan, right here. The thumb is on this side over here. Wisconsin's on the other side.
No,
So
but
Mackinac is up here in the straight.
that's what I.
That's Kalamazoo, right? You had it backwards.
No,
You
no,
had the
no.
thumb side. You had the
I
thumb side
wasn't
as
doing
being.
Michigan. I was doing Wisconsin. Go zoom in on Wisconsin.
Oh, if
The
dude,
hand is
if you hold
Wisconsin.
your hand up, that's the state of Michigan.
No, this is Wisconsin.
No, it's a thumb. It's a
Look,
hand with a thumb. That's
zoom in on.
iconic Michigan.
No, zoom in on
I'm a
Wisconsin,
Detroit
baby.
guy, so if you show me the hand, I'm
I'm
like,
a
you're
Wisconsin
talking
guy,
about Michigan.
baby. No, we taught this is Wisconsin right here because that's Green Bay.
Hold a block of cheese up, then. Don't hold the Michigan thumb out.
Don't
Nice
worry
cheese
about
head.
it.
Yeah, there you go.
My
Yeah,
cheese
don't
head's
worry about
upstairs. But I'm telling
There you
you, I had it right, okay? But the truth
You
is,
did. I thought you had Michigan up. I didn't realize you had Wisconsin.
I don't even
up.
know about the Michigan hand. All I know about is the Wisconsin hand, baby.
Here, I liked you a lot more about 3 minutes ago when
I love
you
cheese.
were doing the Michigan race. I assumed you were a Michigander.
I'm not a Michigander, but hey, I love Michigan. Actually, this past week I was on vacation and in the northern woods of Wisconsin, beautiful.
Yeah.
But I decided to travel to Iron Mountain in the UP of Michigan.
Yeah.
We love the UP in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And let's just say there's a little store there called Rise Up that I went to. May or may not have bought some legal, whatever. But
Sure.
but there's a lake there called Lake Antoine. Beautiful lake. We love Pure Michigan in Wisconsin. When there's another sailboat race called the Queen's Cup that goes across from Milwaukee down here. Okay, Milwaukee down here. Across...
I still see Michigan.
But anyways, it goes across Lake Michigan, over across to Michigan to whatever city.
Maybe you take a marker and then hold your thumb like maybe behind or something. Maybe behind, so it doesn't look like Michigan, and write Wisconsin across it. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect.
There you go.
Wisconsin.
There you go.
That's great.
So we got Milwaukee right here.
Okay.
But you race across Lake Michigan, so Lake Michigan's a pretty big lake. It takes like 9 hours to sail across in the middle of the night, and then you get over to the other side, and when we get over there, we go to Grand Haven, South Haven, Ludington, a couple other cities, port cities, and we love it all. It's beautiful, fun, nice people. Like one time at the port, they just came and picked us up on golf carts and said, "Where do you want to go?"
Okay.
Right when we pulled in. I love Michigan, and it's great. So I'm not trying to be a Michigan hater, except for it sucks about the Lions. But other than that, go Pack-O.
It's a Red Wing town. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Lions, but that's what I grew up. The old school Gretzky's and the.
I knew I liked you, man. You're Midwest guy.
The Isermans. Say it.
You're a Midwest guy. I knew I liked you and your
I
accent.
am a Midwest guy, born and raised in Detroit, and I miss Michigan a little bit. I actually was up there during the early parts of COVID, and ended up coming up through northern Wisconsin and explored all up there in the woods and had a great time. I like, up near Lake of the Clouds, and I just wanted to see it all. So,
I'm glad that you did that.
Fun. Yeah, one of my favorite campgrounds was up in Wisconsin. Little slice of heaven. It was unfortunately it was already booked for most of the summer, but they let me in for a couple nights, and it was awesome. I could have stayed there for a month.
Where was this at? You remember what city or anything?
I can't remember the town. Northern Wisconsin. I stumbled on
north?
it. It was, yes, because I was on the 90.
Okay.
Coming across, and stumbled on this place up in the mountains with this great little lake. They allowed some small power boats on it, but it was great bass fishing and beautiful campground. They had all the craft beer on tap. It was awesome. It was a party place.
Those up north Wisconsin bars, you cannot beat
north
those.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
The bars up there are like just their own special thing, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
I miss the Midwest.
Tell me about Kalen.
Wow.
Do you still have some time here?
I don't know Kaylin well. What?
You still have a little bit of time? I mean,
I got. Well, I was supposed to be headed back home, but I decided I wasn't going to go.
Listen,
So,
if you want to go
I got all the
at
time
any
to
time, just say the word.
No, no,
Otherwise, I'm gonna ask you questions, and I'm gonna.
I'm
pick your
having a
brain.
blast chit chatting with you. It's. I feel more like I'm sitting here talking to you on Discord, forgetting that behind me on the TV you're doing your show and whatnot. But
I'm not. I'm ignoring my chat completely and just only talking to you. Yes, I'm not even looking at chat at all.
We should spend some time with the chat at some point. But
all right, later
I'll
on we'll take questions from
Kaylin.
chat. Oh, by the way, I had to say this
Yeah.
before we started. Mega Princess 45 wanted me to make sure she said hi to you, Chris.
Hi, Mega Princess. Thank you for everything you do. I appreciate you. She's one of the best mods. She's modding on Twitch and just been a great part of the team and just looking out for me. So I appreciate that very much.
By the way, she's also one of my mods.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
I love Mega
She's
Princess.
a great person to have around.
So shout out Mega Princess.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to look at chat for a second, all right?
Okay.
Chat, what do you want to say?
I'll tell you the story about Kaylin. It's not a very long story about Kaylin.
I want to know about Kaylin, though. But first, let's get to this. Freak Dog 1970 says hi.
Hey, Freak Dog.
THC Harpy says, what's up? Chunga Jansen says hi. There's a lot of people just talking about a lot of random stuff that we're talking about. They're discussing what we're talking about.
Okay, good. They're doing what chat does.
Yeah, they're doing what chat does.
It's usually two things. Yeah, I enjoy that.
God Rides a Harley says, thanks for dressing up for the show, Wizzy. He looks better than I do.
Hey, can you turn on your camera? I literally picked up. I've been out here at the lake house and I haven't had clothes on for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden I had to put a shirt on to be able to do this with you. And I'm like, oh, there's a shirt, and it's the same shirt I used the other day when I was live for 15 minutes. I was like, okay. He probably remembers it because it's got the same bleach stain.
You won't believe this, but I was at my parents' lake house for 2 weeks on vacation before this.
Oh, that's what you're sending me pictures from?
Yeah.
Ah, I gotcha. Okay.
Well, we were at Butler Rock, which is something in northern Wisconsin, like a thing. But yeah, we were at the lake house, and I was on the pontoon boat. Dude, I got hella tan. Really, really tan.
Yeah, it's the best place to be. I wish I could do it more.
We got some people in the chat. Mega Princess 45 again. Love you, WYSIWYG. Love you. In caps.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Lowtex88 says, does he have a channel here? Yes, he does. Someone type his Mega Princess, type his Twitch channel in the chat, please.
Everything is WYSIWYG TV.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get acronym.
All right, so this is important, chat. His name is WYSIWYG, but that can be somewhat confusing to some people sometimes. But if you remember, it stands for what you see is what you get. That's also how I remember it and how I can remember to find him all the time. So just remember that. And it's what is it? Anagram? Anecdote?
No. Now that you've said it, I can't say it.
Abbreviation? Fuck, I can't do it.
Yes.
All right. Ask when he last spoke to PT and if he's in regular contact, from Liquidator 1967.
I spoke to PT, I think 3 days ago.
And are you in regular contact?
Occasionally we talk. He had seen the video that came out that was a breakdown from the Wii Spa of the attack on me and everybody else. And he called to say, holy shit, I didn't realize all that happened. Because there was some video that was in that video that wasn't online, apparently, that they found. And it showed a very different point of view of what happened. So he had called me about that. And to catch up and talk to him, what he's got going on.
So when you were attacked at Wii Spa, that's when he called you?
No, this was just
3
last
days
week
ago.
when this breakdown video came out.
Oh, so he didn't call you
So
when you were attacked, but he called you 3 days ago when the video came
no,
out.
he sent me a message that day.
Okay.
He checked to make sure I was okay. Um, and but we've talked a few times since then, actually.
All right, Liquidator, I hope that answers your question. I got another question from Eagle Crow. Not really a question, but a statement that you can
Okay.
hopefully. Yeah. I recall Chris's first days with Katie. You want to reflect on that a little bit for chat?
We had a lot of fun. We it was a great way to get started because every day that we would go out, she'd try to offer me a gas mask. I'm like, I don't need a gas mask. I don't need that stuff. But
Yeah.
why do I need that? I am not going to be around smoke and this and that. Well, as it turns out, LAPD doesn't use any CS gas or, spray or whatnot. It's just the protesters, and sheriff's department does. But we never got into anything very exciting, except for the LASD was sort of the first exciting little bit because it was the Trump and the anti-Trump crowd going at it, and then Santa Monica Boulevard for a protest. It was a BLM protest, and I remember that night Steve had called me because we were all in touch and sort of keeping in touch with Steve and what was going on, and he wanted to make sure that I was checking on another streamer who BLM was sort of harassing. And so Steve had called me and said, hey, you got to make sure he's okay. So I found him in the crowd and was watching what was going on and watching his back, watching Katie. And it was fun. And then, we did like some weird, like LA tourism stuff and went around and saw like the house that Ice Cube grew up in, and the house from the movie Boys in the Hood. We went to all kinds of strange places. Katie wanted to go to Skid Row. I'm like, we're not going to Skid Row. And I'm like, we had to talk about it. Finally, she got me to take her to Skid Row. And by the time we left, we were both wrecked and crying and just breaking down because it was so painful. And it was one specific thing for me, what this man was doing as we were leaving. We got threatened. We got threatened to be shot. People did not want us there. And we walked basically one block. And I said, Katie, we got to go. We can't stay here.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but she got a feel for it. And, I gave her the drive around and I showed her what was going on. And she live streamed some of that. And we went and we ended up meeting the veterans outside the Veterans Memorial Hospital off Wilshire Boulevard. Talked to those guys, made some friends out there that day that I've gone back and I've seen since. We did a lot of fun stuff. We had some great food. I met some other streamers. And we just had a really good time hanging out. And it gave me the bug. And because I had the ability and working around cameras for 30 years, I sort of was like, I asked Steve, I said, hey, if Katie's gone, if I could send you a live stream, would you broadcast it? He's like, hell yeah. And then oddly, I get my shit together and build a channel just so I could have a little anonymity. WYSIWYG, I thought was a great idea. It just kind of came up on me and thought it was a good idea. And I sent him a link, and the first stream I did was awful. I couldn't even get out. It was like, and it was this phone, which was my original iPhone. And I forgot that I had been on my COVID trip and I had the dog and we were in a side by side and traveling down these, roads, and the phone's just bouncing around the cup holder. And when I started my live video and I'm out there doing my thing, and then the cameras start shaking, the image starts shaking, I'm like, oh shit, that's right, my camera's busted. And I ended up not doing a stream that day, and it took me like another couple days. Went and got a new phone and got myself all set up, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it again. And I went and covered something at City Hall, and it was just awful. Nobody watched, nothing happened. It was shit. And then another week later, I went to a Trump rally in Pasadena, and I got all excited and I got my live stream going, and there's nobody watching, but I'm recording, I'm doing my thing, I'm showing it. I had sent the message to Steve, and all of a sudden I see my phone start to move. And, I got somebody watching, and it took a few days, and Steve's like, wait, that's you? You're WYSIWYG? I'm like, yeah, dude, that's me. He's like, I didn't know.
You're talking about
And then,
Steve from PT News.
Yeah. I had sent him these messages from my phone, and it didn't dawn on him that it was me somehow. And it was a really funny thing. And then a week later, I was down in Beverly Hills doing a stream on a Saturday, and he had all of his followers go, to WYSIWYG TV on YouTube and subscribe. And all of a sudden there was 1,200 subscribers. And I was like blown away. It was like they literally, in 2 weeks of starting the channel, built it up and got me monetized. And, it was amazing, the support that I got from Steve and all the PT News people, the eaters, and they really got me going. And that was all I ever wanted to do. Was I just wanted to have my feed go to Steve and just show Steve what was going on, and show everybody there what was going on. So, that's how it got started in PT and Katie. So
how did you originally hook up with Katie for the job? She
was here live streaming, and I was watching her stream, and she's like, hey, if there's somebody local that show me around. I'm like, fuck, I'll show you around. And I sent her a message, and 2 days later she's like, were you serious? I'm like, sure. What do you want to see? Where do you want to go? So she was all impressed that I showed up with my scanner and my truck, and I had snacks, and I guess I spoiled her, but that's just how I think about what we were doing. And we just had a lot of fun. We hit it off, and we ended up driving to Sacramento for no reason at all. She thought there was going to be a giant protest. It was a total waste of time, but we got along well, and we could hang out, and it was fun. We had a good time.
So put your hands up like this for a second. All right, I noticed that you have no ring, so you guys had a really good time.
Yeah.
All right, great.
I've been divorced for a little while.
No, but you and Katie
and I are just friends. Katie and I are just friends.
But you had a really, really good time in Sacramento, right?
No, we drove to Sacramento and basically had dinner and drove home.
I'm just saying you had a really good time. Just let me say that.
No.
Fine, all right.
We had a great conversation. I didn't fall asleep driving home. It was like 5 hours to Sacramento and back each way. So it was basically 10 hours of driving. And I left the dog at the house, Tucker, and I was like, we couldn't spend the night. We couldn't stay there. I had to get home. So, we kind of went to cover what we thought was going to be a protest because of an officer-involved shooting. Katie's like, can we go? Can we go? I'm like, sure, I guess. Why not? I'm not going to say no to her. So we went. And we ended up doing a live stream at a bar that actually had some people in there that were having a good time. She had some seltzers, and, we drove back. It was fun.
I'm glad that you guys had fun. I have another question.
Yeah.
I have more questions about Katie. So, my next question is, as far as I know, Katie went to my town where I live, or around where I live, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Okay. And she was down there filming an Antifa protest, probably around a long time ago. And she got into a black Antifa man's car, BLM guy's car, and her final stream on Twitch was her getting into a strange black man's car and driving down the road, and stream cut. And that was the last time that she ever streamed on Twitch, as far as I know. Do you know? Yeah. Do you know what happened to her, if she's alive, and why her final stream was her getting to a strange black man's car in Milwaukee and never being heard from again?
Well, the next time I talk to her, I'll find out the answer to that story. I hadn't heard that. I did not see that.
You could probably see it on her Twitch stream.
A lot of her videos are gone.
Mine don't say it at all. But this is going on YouTube, by the way. This is going to persist forever.
Okay.
I'm recording this.
I see Katie a lot. I saw Katie as early as a week ago. Was it a week ago? 2 weeks ago.
I think she was getting a ride home or to her wherever she was staying.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that. Yeah. Honestly, you'd have to talk to her about this stuff.
I don't
I
know her
don't
yet.
know. I know why she stopped. It's not for me to say why she stopped.
Okay.
But she did a special. I think she went on Odyssey or some other weird
Platform.
service, and she announced on social media that she was going to do this live stream and talk about where she had been and kind of answered those questions. But a bunch of her ride or dies have had found my channel early on, which I love, and um, there's some that have been around from when I was hanging with, driving Katie around. So it's nice when I see their names in the chat. And uh, Katie's doing great. Well, she's doing good. She's trying to be busy and do her thing, and we still have fun hanging out. And I like seeing her. She just tried to make me adopt a dog. So as much as I love the dog, I can't have another
Not
dog
ready
right now.
for it.
But
Yeah.
I fell in love with that dog too. Had I not let it leave, it would have stayed with me. Tucker would have had a new buddy. But yeah, so yeah, we're still friends. We still talk, still see each other. So
All right. I'm gonna go back to chat for a second. They said it's an acronym. WYSIWYG is an
yeah,
acronym.
acronym. Thank you. Yeah. It's the acronym for what you see is what you get. An anagram is something that's the same
They
forward
mix
and
the letters.
backwards.
Wait, no,
No,
that's something else. That's a palindrome.
Oh, that's a palindrome.
Palindrome. That's like yeah. Something about
I thought an anagram was
anagram is when you mix the words up, the letters up, and then you have to
oh.
respell the letters.
Oh, okay. Very good.
We're making progress.
Not my strong suit. Not my strong suit. Ask me something technical about a camera, I'm all over it.
We're gonna get into that in a little bit. Actually,
okay.
well, depending on if you want to keep talking, but
I'm okay.
This guy said driving cross country to the Capitol, epic stream.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that
you.
a little bit?
It was fun. I wanted to do more. I got a late start. I got a late leave out of LA. Getting out of LA, and then it just shortened my time. I would have liked to have had more time to live stream and build up. And the idea is that as we drove to DC for January 6th, I'd stop and I'd talk to Middle America, say, hey, what do you think's going to happen? What do you think Trump's calling everybody to DC for? And have these conversations. And it just ended up being, I just had to drive and get there. And I also had to rest and sleep. And so trying to do all this stuff, I didn't have anybody with me. I kind of wish I had somebody with me. But yeah, there was more I wanted to do, but yeah, what we did was fun, and seeing some of the things. The trip back was a lot of fun. It ended up being about a month. I think it was exactly a month from the time I left to the time I got back to LA that we were out on the road, and we saw some cool stuff. And we had a good time in Green and Groon, Texas, and some weird spots, and the Cadillac Ranch, and DC itself was really memorable. And I had a couple weeks in there where I just was afraid to live stream because I just thought I was going to get shut down. I didn't know what I could talk about. I was afraid to even discuss anything. And I spent literally a week going, what the hell just happened? Actually, it was more than a week. It was almost 2 weeks that I hid out. Just wanted to be someplace else after what had happened. So
I believe that. Fun fact, I was streaming Patriots on January 6th, and I got a 30-day ban on Twitch.
Of course. Yeah. I'm really surprised I didn't get shut down or banned or anything. And all my footage is up everywhere except for YouTube. I finally took it down months later and nobody paid my footage any attention, which I'm happy about. But I think maybe because it just got lost in the mix. What?
With the footage of the girl getting shot and all that.
Yeah, drowned it out. Right.
Yeah.
But there's even later going back and watching my stream, there's some really interesting things that I picked up that I didn't realize I saw. Because there was so much going on. Yeah. We'll see.
All right, next question. This one is from
I'm going to grab a beer. I'm not gone. I'm right here.
All right. The last question was from FreakDog1970. The next question comes from Man Named Machine.
Okay. What's he say?
He says, question, Wizzy, what advice do you have for patriots on the ground in LA or elsewhere?
Wow. Don't be stupid.
It's great advice.
Well, it's tough because Antifa's making people look foolish. And I mean that in the nicest way, that
I'm surprised it's not tougher to say that, but for you, what you've seen.
No, because it's people that I've seen around. I'm the way I feel like I know Antifa, I feel like I know the Patriots as well, because I've spent time with both groups. Obviously, I've spent more time with the Patriots because they don't try to kill me. But I think that Antifa is really good at making people look bad. And I think that patriots need to be aware, pay attention, understand the perception of what it is they do and how Antifa will use anything that they do to make them and their cause look bad. And you really have to know your enemy before you can go out and fight and succeed and win, especially on a social media front, and that the digital battle, the digital warfare that's going on, because Antifa's much better. They're faster and they know how to make you look ridiculous. So that's my suggestion, is know what's going on and know how not to give them something that will help destroy your cause. So you have to be smarter than them. And it takes a lot, because they're smarter than you think they are. So that's my suggestion for the Patriots.
There you go, man.
There's way more to it, but I feel like that's a whole separate video on its own that I'm not ready to do.
Well, that's great advice, and we appreciate that. A man named
Thank you.
God Rides a Harley says, free dog.
That's my buddy.
That's your friend. Because he's saying, free dog. I remember driving to the Capitol with Chris and good times and back, good times.
Yeah. Kenny was, or God Rides a Harley was with us for the whole thing. He's been around for a long time and part of the team now for a while. And, he's sort of my wingman. God on his Harley. So anytime you hear me talk to God on my live stream, it's because they're in my ear, the studio's in my ear, and I'll talk to God, and I forget that people think that I'm speaking to, God, and I'm not a very religious person.
Oh, so you say God in the...
So I'm talking to God, which is Rides a Harley. And I forget, and God always reminds me, Chris, don't forget to tell people you're not talking to God, you're talking to me.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, so.
You're talking to God on the stream, dude.
Yeah, and anybody who knows me, I'm not like a religious person, and I believe in, that's another stream. Anyway, so, thanks.
All right. Yeah, dude, that's really funny, man. Really, really
Yeah.
funny.
I have to be reminded of a lot of things. Thankfully, there's people there to do that because I just, you know, I lose track.
Russian bot says hello.
Hello, Russian bot.
Um, Mr. Bill's entire chat says hello. Indigo says
Hey
hello.
guys. In the yeah, how are you?
Indigo
I got the whole
N3.
gangs watching. I guess the word got put out that you were streaming and we were going to chat. Which, by the way, this was a really nice surprise. I did not know this was going to happen tonight.
You might not know this about me, but people know me.
Yeah, I know you've been trying to get me to talk to you for a while. I thought maybe I'd have a chat with you first, but then I've done a
Nah,
lot of weird things
why
lately
talk
and
if
said
it's not
yes
even
to.
live?
I know that's. I don't know. I didn't know anything about you. I did not.
Well, this is good then.
I didn't know what kind of content you did, and I turned your show on for a couple minutes one day just because you had sent me a message, and I watched it. And go, okay, I could do his show. He seems like a lot of fun. I like the hat.
You
So,
know, the hat really and the look, it really,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
working out.
yeah.
But no, dude, what we do is we are just a show that shows other streams and people that are okay, here's what we do. We show what's happening, what's really happening in America on the streets of America every single night for real. Not this fake news bullshit. And we're a patriotic community who loves America. We do not like Antifa, and we do not like when people set flags on fire or disrespect our great free country. And my opinion is that people who are Americans who are doing stuff like this, they don't realize how really good that they actually have it, and they take it for granted living in such a great free country because they could have been born in fucking some weird Middle East country where women can't even drive, or
Right.
or you could throw acid on their face and it's totally fine, and they
Right.
just don't understand the difference.
The freedoms.
They just don't really get it,
Right.
in my opinion. And like you said, these young Antifa kids, they can grow up and understand and really, they might just be following a fad. But some of these guys really just don't get it, and it's really sad. And I think people need to see what's happening out there. And you want to know how I started real quick?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So I live in Wisconsin, and COVID hit, and I used to be a server at some restaurant called Bullwinkle's.
Okay.
No beard. I had maybe a little
Yeah.
goat. Nice,
Cool.
short hair. But the thing is, COVID hit, and my restaurant fully shut down.
Yeah.
So I decided, because one of my friends said, yo, you always talked about how you wanted to be a streamer, so start streaming. 8 hours a day, make it your job. So I started streaming 8 hours a day, but I was streaming video games, and it wasn't working out. But
Okay.
one day I had to stream for 8 hours, but I also wanted to watch, because I was really interested in Chaz and Chop, which was happening right before that, and it was really interesting to me. So I decided to watch Kenosha streamers that were protesting against Jacob Blake shooting, what happened in Wisconsin in Kenosha, and these guys are out there protesting, and I decided to restream it. And these guys, that protest that day was the day.
Was that the first night of Kenosha protests or the second
night?
It was the second night.
Second
so
night.
That was the night that the
Yes.
shooting happened. Yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Okay.
Was
Kyle, yeah.
my first night streaming protests.
Wow.
My shit blew up, and then ever since then, I've always been a patriot who loves America, though, so it all works out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But dude, I gotta say, I love to talk to you, and I love to meet with people like you. I'm friends with Mr. Bill. I'm friends with a lot of people in this community, so I've made it a point to reach out to you and try to make this thing happen because everybody loves you, and
Thank you.
yeah, and it's really fun to talk to you, in my opinion, and this is great for
I
me
appreciate
too.
it. No, I totally appreciate it. COVID's great because it gave us all great. Well, I had a beard prior, but you look great with a beard. I love the look. I I think there's a lot of silver linings in COVID. Had it not been for COVID, I wouldn't have,
Shizbang would not be doing this if it wasn't for COVID.
Right. You wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have made the friends that I've made in Discord and the people that I spend my days with. And no matter what it's for, and no matter what we're battling on the streets or showing on the streets, it's the friendships and the things that have come out of it that I look forward to telling my kid about when he gets older. Those experiences. Yes. It's been overwhelming at times. So it's there's that silver lining, and something good comes out of everything somehow. And I think it's up to us to find it. And I like what you found. I think the hat's there, and I'm glad it's brought us together.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you so much for appreciating the captain's hat and the whole look, man, because I think it's really working out for me, and I've heard nothing but only good things.
There's not many people who could pull it off. You pull it off because you're a true seaman.
I am. I'm a true seaman. Arrgh! I like to consider myself a boatsman, but hey.
The boatsman, I know.
I am a salty
I've just
seaman.
been trying to get seaman in there somehow, And it was, it's always been just the joke, but
it's great.
No, I can't decide if I own a yacht or a boat.
Well, how big is it? How many feet is it?
Well, it's
is
14
it 16?
Feet.
Okay.
No, it's 14 feet, and it's powered by a trolling motor, an electric trolling motor. Or 2 pedals. It's a little bass fishing kayak.
Oh, yeah, that's a yacht. I'll consider that. Yeah, definitely. Hey, so I'm gonna tell you something right now.
Yeah.
I'd love to continue this conversation. We have more stuff from chat, and I have more questions that I'd love to ask you. I have to run to the bathroom.
All right, we're gonna take a 5.
Let's take a 5, and we'll come back. And then we will continue this, if you're cool with that.
All right. Sure.
All right. More questions in the chat, please, for Mr. Chris from WYSIWYG. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. That's it. We'll be right back.
Perfect. You want me to leave this camera on, or?
I don't care. I'm leaving my camera on. I'm taking my headphones off.
Okay. I'll get a charge for a minute.
Do your thing, man.
You go outside, Tuck? Huh? You go outside? Come on. Let's go. You want to go outside? All right. Yeah.
Okay. Chat True Love right here. That's funny. Freak dog. See, now I'm watching Russian bot here. Mrs. Bot sleeping. All right, cool. She's getting her sleep. Oh, I should turn that down. Y'all, the one thing I've never learned is Twitch. I still don't understand how Twitch works. I see there's like some gift stuff there. I see there's.
I'm back.
I'm hijacking your show.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you were entertaining the crew while I was gone.
Well, I just came back and
Nice.
thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate that. I do not have balls of steel. I'm just dumb. I'm ignorant to. I give people way too much credit. That's the problem. And I learned some lessons. I learned some lessons on the third, and I made some mistakes, unfortunately, and that will not happen again. But thank you very much. Aga Princess said she'll help me. Okay. She has helped me already a lot. She did a lot of great things setting up the Twitch I don't know, censors or whatever, all the words and all the things, trying to keep me, from getting banned off Twitch, because I don't really pay attention to Twitch. I love that people are watching on Twitch. How many, do you stream to anything other than Twitch?
I sometimes stream on YouTube, but only when I'm pretty much when I'm banned off Twitch for whatever reason.
Gotcha. Okay. So you stay pretty consistent on Twitch. That's your platform. You know what Twitch is about.
I want to make a bigger presence on YouTube, which is why I have something called the Shizcast, which is a podcast with that one weird girl, Plukester, who's like a community member. Really funny. Only Mr. Bill, THC Harpy, and myself. Okay. So pretty much it's a superstar cast.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, we're always trying to get the best people in there, WYSIWYG. But the Shizcast, I'm trying to get a bigger presence on YouTube. I'd like to be bigger on YouTube. But as a live streamer and as a restreamer, and with the YouTube type of DMCA laws and content strikes that they have, you know about how these people are live streaming and playing music and all this. Right. And that YouTube does not jive with that.
No.
So, not only that, but the biggest audience for watching live content is on Twitch. It's not on Facebook. It's not on YouTube. It's not on DLive. It's not on Periscope or Twitter. It's on Twitch. Everybody who wants to watch live content, it's on Twitch. So if you want to live stream, dude, I had a ton of, I had viewers on Twitch, and then I got banned, and then I went to YouTube, and my viewer count got cut in half by 90%. Not in half, 90% gone.
Okay.
So and these people know me. They're in my Discord. They're part of my community, but they just don't go to. They like me. They like to watch
Right.
me. They just don't go to YouTube for this content.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They don't.
Yeah, and it's a different experience too with the chat and whatnot. I noticed there's a lot of differences there.
Chat integration is huge. On Twitch, chat loves on Twitch. On YouTube, it's donkey. It's donkey
Hey,
shit.
can I answer a comment real quick?
Actually, I'm gonna go grab a water bottle since I ran to White Claws. I'm gonna grab that.
Perfect.
You talk to my chat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brant for Liberty. I saw your message. I've been trying to find your content and do some things. I've been crazy busy with some stuff, and I keep getting sidetracked. Twitter is not the best way to get a hold of me, but we'll absolutely talk and see what you got going on. I'm happy to chat with anybody, and I promote everybody too. So check out Brant for Liberty. See what his content's all about. I plan on doing the same thing. Wrote me a beautiful email or beautiful message on Twitch or Twitter. Pardon me. I forget where I'm at. So yeah, we'll be talking soon. Haven't forgot about you. Freak Dog watches you. That's good. It's if you only knew. It's the team. Everybody's been working really hard, and every day I start out to do something else, and I get sidetracked with the phone calls and everything that's been going on, and it's been fun and interesting and total learning experience. So hopefully one of these days I'll be able to share it with you, share it with everybody. So no White Claws. What do you got now?
Couldn't find a water bottle either. All I could find to drink was some, what is this, Coke Zero sugar?
Coke Zero.
So I don't drink this stuff. This must be my dad's or something, but I don't care. I need something to wet the whistle since we're talking, you know?
There you go. It's wet.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So hold on. Chat, Mr. Wizzy, Chris, By the way, my real name is Ben. Benjamin.
Okay.
If you ever wanted to, you can call me Shizbang or Shiz, though. It doesn't matter. People call me that. That's my name, Shiz. But since I know your name, because your reputation precedes you, of course. Everybody knows your name. But I thought I'd tell you my name. So I want everybody to know.
With that. Chad Loader specifically helped with that. But I always went by Chris. I didn't mind saying I was Chris, but yeah.
We're not doxing anyone here or anything. No last names. No last names.
No.
But everyone, just so you know, we're just getting started here on the on the Shizbang and WYSIWYG interview. All right, this is the very beginning.
What do you prefer to be called?
Shizbang.
Shizbang. All right.
Shizbang.
It just rolls off the tongue. Shizbang.
It's a good name. You know how WYSIWYG just kind of came to you?
Yeah.
Same thing.
That's where Shizbang it just came to you. Like, yeah. What's my thing? Yeah.
I was thinking like, what should my internet? And this was like in 2013 or 14.
Gotcha.
And that's been my name ever since. When I started the channel, it wasn't nothing to do with streaming, and so it's just persisted. Like there's Crooked Nose Media, there's like whatever media, and there's people that are like clearly people that are whatever their name is like clearly what they're doing, but not me.
Right.
I'm a personality who does protest streaming.
Yeah. It was funny because it was Man Named Machine that actually sort of came up with this slight variation to WYSIWYG. Instead of what you see is what you get, it's why you see is why you get. Because I've had this ongoing issue with the channel. What my buddy Tony that used to run with me when I'd go out, who's a fun sidekick, he's like, dude, can you get some cards made, please? Because trying to get people the information to find your channel is impossible. I'm like, that's a great idea. So I spent a couple bucks and got some cards made, and it's changed my life incredibly. And I just hand out these cards, and it's got all the
Really?
stuff on it. And yeah. But even
Wow.
friends like Steve can't say WYSIWYG. I don't know what it is. He's like WYSI something. He's like whatever the guy's channel is.
Yeah.
So I think he's getting it right now, but it's always been a weird challenge because you see it and you go, how does it spell it? It took me a while to go WYSIWYG to get it to roll off your tongue for people to understand what it was. But
It don't roll off the
there were
tongue.
these.
It's complicated.
Yeah. There's a great bit which I need to pull the clip. I don't pull clips. I don't know what it is. I have a hard time doing it. There's two Antifa girls that come over to harass me over at City Hall one day. They come across the street and they're like, ask me all these questions. And I knew what they were doing. They were trying to figure out who I was and why I was standing across the street watching the protest. And they're like, what's your channel? I said, it's WYSIWYG TV. She's like, how do you spell that? And I said, it's the acronym for what you see is what you get. And the one girl says to me, I'm blonde. You're going to have to spell it for me. And I was like,
God.
You're Antifa. And then I start to tell her, and she goes, I don't really care. I'm like, of course you don't. I knew what they were doing. But yeah, it's been fun.
I mean, that's honestly hilarious.
MAGA Princess put the link in the chat. Thank you, MAGA Princess.
She's great,
You're
isn't
awesome.
she?
Yeah, she's incredible.
As a community member, like not my community, but as a general Patriot community member of everybody, she's top. She's like the top.
Yeah. I just learned what raids are like last week. I was like, that's really cool how you can raid a channel and people come over. I think Twitch offers a lot of really neat things, and maybe we'll just have to start doing some Twitch only streams or something.
Hey man, Twitch is great. Come over and then raid me.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll raid you too.
Cool.
All right, let's get to some more of this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I was gonna ask you about this guy, Kalen.
Yeah, that was a tough night.
All right, let's get into it then.
Okay.
Because I don't know much about it, and I know the people in the chat probably know, but I want to know. Right. Paint me a picture.
Schreiber Media is his live stream, the content that he was putting out. I forget exactly what happened, but I sent him a direct message about something a while back, and I never heard. Like Brand was saying, I never heard back from him. And this was the Dante Wright Memorial. It was a Thursday night in Hollywood that started at Sunset Boulevard and Vine.
Around what date?
And what?
Around what date?
2 months ago.
Okay.
Dante Wright was killed in...
I know about Dante Wright.
Yeah, another state, right? And so it was a vigil for him, and all of BLM and Antifa showed up, and I went out there to cover it, and they did their vigil in front of this bank, the Chase Bank on the corner of Sunset and Vine, and then they started to march north on Vine towards Hollywood Boulevard. We got up to Hollywood Boulevard.
In Hollywood,
LAPD's in tow. They're right behind. And I kept my distance. And we got to Hollywood Boulevard, and they stopped traffic on Hollywood. There was some pepper spray deployed. There was some motorcycles that were out there doing burnouts. I went over, and as soon as I left the police, the Antifa kids were right on me. So I knew I couldn't go too far. We ended up marching up Vine. As we crossed Hollywood Boulevard, this guy came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm Kalen." I was like, "Kalen? Oh, shit." And I put the pieces together. I'm like, "Oh, nice to meet you." Well, apparently Antifa's watching my live stream. And there were a number of other streamers out there. A1 from We Are LA was out there. The usual leftist media was out there. We marched down Argyle towards, and we ended up back on Hollywood Boulevard. We're marching up Hollywood Boulevard. We make a left at Highland, and we're going by Hollywood High School, and there's a dark section, and all of a sudden, I had at some point somebody with an umbrella who was basically assigned to try to keep me from streaming and cover my camera, and he wasn't doing a very good job.
Right.
But everybody was sort of enjoying how I dealt with him and getting the camera over, and I was still getting pretty good coverage of what was happening. They weren't being violent.
I believe I remember you doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it became one of those things where it was such a nuisance that I was just calling out what a pain in the ass this guy was. And I had a couple of people come up to me. I had what I called my angel that night, who was kind of there watching my back, who wasn't with me. People thought he was my security, and he had a Trump 45 shirt on. And, you know, something would happen, and he just sort of would step in and go, "Why are you doing this?" It's, you know, the guy didn't do anything to you. Anyway, so when we got to Hollywood High School that night, I had two umbrellas that stopped me from moving forward. And this girl popped between them and was yelling at me, saying I used my camera as a weapon. She knows me. And I thought it was weird, and I could see something going on right behind them. But the whole group stopped. And it turns out later on, when I saw the video, that they had grabbed Kalen's phone, tossed it over the fence, and were trying to get him out of there. And then there's a number of people, 3 specific individuals. One guy kicks him in the back. Another guy starts punching him. Another guy's kicking him. And they just started beating him up. And then the person who breaks it up comes in, who's this girl. She, you know, pulls him out and stops them from beating him and says, you know, "You don't fucking belong here. Get the hell out of here. We don't ever want to see you again." And they let him go. And I didn't know any of this happened. And it was later on, as we got back towards sunset, and the LAPD is trying to break this up, and they're pushing the crowd out, that somebody in my ear says, "Kalen's been assaulted." And we think that's what the ambulance is for. We didn't know it had already happened a while back. And when I saw the video, the thing that hurt the most was the fact that they said, "You talk to Chris." And, you know, I felt a little bit of responsibility, only in the sense that had Kalen not talked to me, they would have never known that he was there, and none of it would have happened. And I don't know what their upset is with Kalen, other than the fact that Kalen had been basically covering their movement from within, and that upsets them. They don't like when they've got people in block doing that. That's why I always dress like me. I go out as me. I don't hide what I'm doing. I'm not sneaky about it. I'm not sneaky. I sometimes have to keep my distance more so than other times because of where the police are, because I know I have no other safety other than the police. But other than that, I'm not trying to blend in. I want them to know when I'm there. And I've given them a lot of what they want, which is me to keep my distance and whatnot. But, you know, I still will jump in there and show what's going on. But Kalen had been undercover basically and got caught that night, and it was tough to watch. Fortunately, he didn't get hurt that bad. I think he told me that he had like broken, bruised rib, and nothing major happened to him. It could have been far worse, and thankfully it wasn't. But, you know, he was banged up, and he had just like actually come back from taking a break, so they didn't even know he was out there. But he apparently was actually live streaming that night as well. And then it might have been Drew Hernandez that was out there as well undercover, that captured the beating, the attack as well, because instantly they were sending out tweets and video of what happened. So fortunately, it all got caught on camera, and there's some really good footage of it as well, that who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to see. And the interesting part is what the Antifa press was doing. In the video footage that I saw, there was one Antifa press member who literally turned his back on what was happening to not show it. And I actually showed that guy the video, and I go, "This is really sick." And he was embarrassed that he's caught with his back turned to what was going on. But that's what they do. That's what Antifa Press does. Is they turn off their cameras when it suits them and their needs, because they know that if they showed the stuff that I show, they wouldn't be allowed out there either.
It's disgusting to me that Antifa
really
in Portland and Seattle, these guys specifically tell their own Portland Antifa streamers like Ninja and Old Baloo, if you remember him, who quit streaming. They tell these guys, you can stream this only. You can stream like this road. But if you come out here and stream on these dates, we're gonna whoop your ass and break your shit. Because they're allowed to stream when they're not. They'll like plan something that's supposedly peaceful protest. You know how that leads. But then when they plan to do the illegal shit like burn, break, throw bricks, concrete milkshakes, all of this stuff. When they decide to do that, they do not allow their own Portland Antifa streamers there because they know that what they're doing is against the law. It's breaking the law, and they do not want evidence on the internet doing it. So it's awesome when other people, you remember, I don't know if you know Jake Behind Enemy Lines from D-Live and formerly from Twitch. Like guys like him and like you, these guys who are out there showing what Antifa is doing when they're trying not to be seen, trying to have that presence of themselves not shown on the internet. When these other people are out there really showing that is important, and that is something respectable in my opinion. Like, because they would try to break your camera, and they would break your camera if you know what I'm saying. But you're really, I call Jake brass balls, and you guys, when you're doing this,
there's a big difference though.
What do you mean?
And I don't want to talk about other streamers, but I do want to point out the very distinct difference in what I do compared to what a number of other people go out and do with Antifa. I don't antagonize. I don't go out there and I'm not an activist. I'm not, promoting Trump. I'm not promoting anything. I go out there with the camera and I point it in direction. I don't go out there to create conflict with these people. I know what their issue is. I would like them to talk to me, but I don't go out there to antagonize. And I do that for a very specific purpose, because if they hate me, I don't want them to have a reason to hate me. So I say hello, I wave to them. In fact, I gave a nice wink to one of the Antifa girls the other day, and she got really upset. They were like saying some really nasty things, and I was like, okay, hey, gave her a little wink, and it pissed her off. But I was kind. So you'll never see me be anything but kind. I'll defend myself when I need to, and I'll speak up about, the stuff that's going on. But I'm not going to go out there and antagonize them and give them a reason to go, this is why we don't want him there. It's always about, for me, not creating or giving them ammunition. And when they go after me, it's because they're assholes, not me. And I'm a total asshole. But I'm not going to show them that I'm an asshole.
I love that. Being antagonistic is a total Antifa thing. It's not something that our side should be doing.
And I'm not bagging on these guys that go out there and hassle Antifa, because I enjoy that too. I like seeing them do that. I like seeing them challenge them to these ideas. I don't want. It's not what I want to do.
Well, when you see, okay, so this is a good point that you brought up. I don't know if you remember, but we were watching your video from earlier, and a man was banging on a car.
That's Riverside.
Okay, so we were watching Riverside, but I didn't get the full context in the beginning. I was like, you never see patriots going up to cars and like smacking on the car, or like trying to break the window and all that bullshit. It's always Antifa.
You do. Nope, you do.
But
You do, because I captured it in Beverly Hills at some of the rallies. One in particular where the Patriots had basically blocked traffic on Santa Monica Boulevard. And I was appalled at the stuff that I saw people doing. Not everybody, but some people. And it happens.
I don't agree
It happens
with that.
on both sides.
Yeah, I don't agree with that stuff.
Yeah. I was
this?
really amazed.
Would you agree with this? The majority of time you see people doing that shit, it's mainly the Antifa side.
Absolutely.
You see Mr. Bill's flag waves, and they're not out there blasting on cars.
No, most of the time they're not. And it's just these weird moments. You get a weird person, somebody within the crowd, something that's happening, for the Beverly Hills stuff. It was they had taken over the road, they had stopped traffic, and then they had spread out into the intersection, and it was a guy in a convertible, lots of money, Trump hater, saying stuff, and you get that one or two people in there that'll kick the car. They were throwing bumper stickers on the car. They were, it's minor things, but it was still the type of thing that you would expect from the left, not from conservative patriots.
I agree with that.
But there's always somebody in the crowd that wants to just have fun, do their thing, and fight back. So, but like, if you don't watch the stream, you don't catch it. I'm showing everything. I'm showing no matter who's doing what. I'm showing what's going on. I just, I don't always point things out, and it gets buried within a 6-hour live stream, and people don't see it. So,
not a Fed says hello.
Not a Fed. How are you? Good evening. Glad you're still not a Fed.
All right, tell me about Quincy.
Steve called me one day and said, "Hey, my buddy's coming to LA to live stream. Would you show him around?" I'm like, "Yeah, who is it?" And he said, "Oh, it's the Black Conservative Preacher." I go, "Oh yeah, I've watched the streams. I'd love to."
We love BCP.
Call me. Yeah. And so Quincy called me up, and I said, "Okay, great. Let me know when you get into town. Let me know where you're staying. I'll pick you up in the morning." We went to.
Is that his real name, Quincy?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's common knowledge.
Maybe I should know that, I guess, then.
I don't know. He goes
BCP.
He goes by BCP, Quincy, but I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know. If you tell me something, I say it. That's why, like, villain is villain, because I don't want to know anything more, because I will say whatever.
Someone was gonna ask you about villain.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about Quincy or villain?
Yeah, I'll tell this story real quick. So he comes to LA and he's like, "Hey, can I wear a Trump gear?" I'm like, "You're in LA. You can do whatever you want to." I said, "Where we're going, you're fine wearing your Trump gear. Nobody's going to harass you." So he comes down, he gets in the truck, and we drive. We went to Huntington Beach for a rally that morning, and then covered that. And then we were going to Beverly Hills on that Saturday for the Beverly Hills rally, and just had a great day and hit it off, and good friends, and we have a good time. Every time he comes to LA, we hang out, and I enjoy when Quincy makes a trip and comes down for something. He's always looking to see, he always wants to know when something's going on. And, I'm like, hey, everything's unpredictable. Just because I know something's going on doesn't mean it's going to be anything great. But
don't mind me, brother. Just keep talking.
Yeah, he comes down and he does his thing, and that's what we do. And that's the same way I met Villain. Villain decided he was going to come and cover the 17th, and somebody in my chat said, "Hey, Villain's going to try to reach out to you." I was like, okay, I didn't know much about Villain. I hadn't,
Don't mind me, brother.
In fact, I got him confused as somebody else.
Fuck up
You're
in
getting
here.
naked. Is this normally how you do your stream? Is shirtless and like you're ready for
Normally there's people's names written on my body with these expo markers too, though. So you donate me $5, I'll write your name on me, buddy.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that.
WYSIWYG WYG. Right here.
Yeah, that would right.
That's not
It'd be
normal. I'm just kidding. Somewhat normal. Only minorly normal.
Throw some Y's and I's and W's in there, and you're all good.
Did I fuck it up?
But yeah, so that's how I met Villain, and Villain and I right away, just like Quincy. Like, you meet, that you've instantly got something in common, and I like Villain a lot. We've hit it off, and we've had some great conversations, and I'll get to know Villain more, and
how did you meet?
Like I was telling you,
did you tell us how you met Villain?
While you were getting naked, I
Okay.
was saying I met Villain the same way as he was coming into town, and he reached out to me to say hey, and see if we could connect, and if I'd hang out with him and sort of partner up on the day, and just
that's cool.
He's in a strange. I'm like, absolutely sure. And so with everything that happened, it built a relationship for us, and we had a great time. I enjoyed meeting Villain, and I had heard a lot of stories about how he is, and they're kind of right. But I like that about Villain. I like that Villain's just fucking honest and straight up, and he's got balls of steel. Like, somebody said that about me. No, Villain, he went into the hornet's nest on the 17th with all his shit on him. I'm like, okay, good luck. So I tried to watch, and the team's watching his stream and telling me what's going on, and I was ready to go do whatever I had to, which in the end ended up being him getting pepper sprayed and having to find him, and just
oh my God,
be there for him and be a team, and that's what ended up happening. So yeah, it's made a really interesting friendship, and I look forward to hanging out some more. So yeah, so
you have a really good relationship with Quincy and Mr. Villain.
Yeah. We
and Steve from PT News.
Steve and I aren't that close. Steve's very busy, and Steve asked me to do more with him early on, and I just wasn't ready for that. And I also have a regular job that I was doing that's irregular on its own, and so my time is what it is. And I still have a certain comfort level in things that I need in order to, like, going to DC was a big deal for me. I'm in a strange town. It's like I'm there by myself. I made a great friend in DC who had a dog and ended up going out as my security, or as a team, on the 7th. And another great relationship that was formed because of what I'm doing. And I'm not, I don't, most people don't know this. I am an introvert.
Really? Did not expect that one.
I have learned a lot since August, especially being comfortable in front of a camera and having these conversations has been really hard for me, because that's not who I am. That's not what I do.
Did not expect
I've spent 30 years behind the camera for a reason, and I've been forced into this in a way, and to challenge myself to do something that I normally wouldn't do. But I'm very picky about who my friends are and who I spend time with. And yeah.
Well, I appreciate you spending this time with us today.
Thank you. No, it's fun.
So
I've learned to be more open to these things because of this. And I appreciate that. And yeah.
Now, also, thank you, and I appreciate this as well. But we could talk about how we appreciate each other all day. We're going to get to the finally, the creme de la creme question that I've been really wanting to talk to you about. Something that my chat wanted to know about, something that I want to know about. Something that happened with you and a certain long-haired Gollum-like creature from Lord of the Rings, and an attack that, well, I don't know, maybe not an attack, maybe a verbal attack, but do you remember when Shiloh was like straight up yelling at you. You guys got into a confrontation on camera together. I think you were both streaming maybe.
I was definitely streaming. I don't remember if he was.
Maybe he wasn't, but we definitely watched that, and I wanted to skip over. We may have glossed over that earlier, but
we did. We didn't talk about that part.
Let's talk about that part.
Okay.
Remember when he was yelling at you? He confronted you, and he was screaming in your face, and he seemed like he was left out.
Yeah, he was mad because as I made the left-hand turn onto Gower, I went a little wide in the turn. He had stepped out into the road, and I fucking with him.
Right.
If I wanted to run him over, I would have run him over. But that's not who I am.
But you're a good guy.
But I'm a good guy. But I drove wide, and then I did a U-turn and came onto the other side of the street, and I stopped my truck. Now keep in mind that during our earlier moment, before the march around, I'm not live streaming. I have I'm in Discord, so everybody's hearing the conversation, that he couldn't help himself but to swing his umbrella at the truck and dent the truck as I left. So, he got his moment
Fucking
in.
Shiloh.
Yeah, he got his moment in, and he did his damage. And, I'm not one to be mad or hold grudges, but when things were ending and we were driving around, and I had at the time 45th News Brigade, who is Kennedy and Travis, in my truck. They ended up driving around in the truck with me all night because it was too dangerous to be out there, because these are the same people who had attacked them at another protest rally prior to this incident. So they ended up traveling around there, doing their thing, getting their footage, and they jump out. And in fact, at one point, Kennedy jumped out of the truck twice. She had fire extinguishers, and she goes, "Hey, stop the truck, stop the truck." And I'm like, okay, whatever. And she runs across the street, and she puts out a fire in a trash can that Antifa had started. I'm like, where'd you get this fire extinguisher? She just happened to have like 2 fire extinguishers in her pack.
God.
She's literally like,
that's fucking Batman shit.
Yeah. I'm like,
don't worry, I have
so much stuff. Yeah. So I flip a U-turn, almost running over Shiloh. He loved to make a big deal out of that, because I'm such an asshole who chases 2 gay men down the streets of Sacramento because they're laughing at people, Asian woman, and her children, who now can't drive home because their car has no tires, has every window broken, has been vandalized by Antifa. And these 2 men who I see across the street from where I'm standing covering this, laughing at these people who have had their vehicles damaged because they're Trump supporters. So that made it okay that these 2 guys were going to stand there and laugh about it. And when I saw that, and I walked over to them with my camera, and I was like, how are you okay with this? Like, in what world, I think I said, do you think this is okay? And they're like, they didn't care. I'm like, how could you not care? You see what's happening. You know what's going on. You're going to stand here and laugh. And then they walked away from me, and I followed them, but they kept turning back to me and talking. So of course I followed them. But Shiloh thinks that I chased 2 gay men in the streets of Sacramento, harassing them. It's not what the fuck I did.
Of course he was.
And the video shows exactly what I did. And that's why when I charged back at them and all the stuff they're saying on Twitter, I'm like, show me what I did wrong. They can't, because I'm not a bad guy. I will show the truth. And what happened out there was despicable. It was almost 20 vehicles that were destroyed because of these Antifa people, because they had, Trump sticker or an American flag, or just because Antifa felt like it. So that's what Shiloh's apparently really mad at me about. And that's what he brings up. That's what he brought up earlier in the night when I talked to him, because I was like, hey, why don't you talk to me? What, have a conversation with me about what's going, and they can't. The left is so angry. They can't have a conversation. They can't debate anything. And, frankly, he's lucky that there was 200 in TV, because I could have sat there all night and waited for him to have a conversation. But because they were all charging after us.
I'd love to get Shiloh in this shit to talk right now. You know what I'm saying? He would never do it.
Somebody made a parody video, and I'm not going to say who the streamer is because it's not my place to say. It's some of the funniest shit I've ever seen, and I had no idea it existed. And when I watched it and I saw what they did, they had the set, they had the hair on. I laughed my ass off.
I know what you're talking about.
I love how there's a whole community that hates Shiloh as much as I do. And I don't hate Shiloh. I just think he's a dick. He's a drugged out dick.
I don't like Shiloh.
He had a stream Friday night that somebody alerted me to, and I recorded, and I will do a live stream about it at some point, because it doesn't have me fired up, but he literally talks about me being clapped, which I guess is really cool kid talk for me being killed. And he does it so simply and easily, and it's really disgusting.
You can't talk about that stuff on Twitch. That's against TOS. You can't talk about wanting to kill anybody.
Yeah. He talks out of the side of his mouth, and it's clear what it is that he wants and what he believes should happen to me, because of what he thinks about me, because of what people like Vishal P. Singh say about me. The reason I can say Vishal's name is that's the name on his Twitter account, and that's the name on his social media accounts. So I'm not doxing him. Right. And when I say hi to Vishal out on the streets and he thinks that I'm stalking him because I call him by his name, I think it's absurd. So all I'm doing is saying hello. If his name was Shizbang on his social media account, I would say, what's up, Shizbang? How you doing tonight?
Shizbang.
But his name is Vishal P. Singh, and he hates it. And so what they've created and what they say about people and how it gets circulated and the belief that they have, it creates this it makes it dangerous for me to be out there. And they've gotten to the point where they now just want me dead. They think that's what the solution is to kill me.
Well, they all know you.
They talk about it on their live streams when they think they're private. They talk about it in their, private social media groups. And that's why I've got leftist press calling me saying, hey, I'm seeing this. You have to be careful. And their own press people are basically outing them as to what they want to do. And I know it's not them just creating this scare to me. It's what I know that they are capable of doing. And it's the death threats that they send and everything else. And so Shiloh is a dick.
Shiloh's everyone can
as much responsible for all of this as any of them. And, he tried to ambush me in Hollywood one night during a live stream. And he's so stupid, too, because it's all recorded. We have it all saved, how he was trying to do this. And fortunately, because I have people watching and seeing these different streams, the team's paying attention to what's going on. They're hearing what Shiloh's talking about on his live stream. They're letting me know, to the point where I basically did this like Jason Bourne move using the cops to escape, because they were, basically waiting for me to get back there to jump me. And so thanks to the team, I just got out of there. That was the night that they had broken my camera.
Yikes.
So, yeah.
So,
thanks, Shiloh.
You've faced death threats. You've had people basically publicly threatening your life, and they know what you look like. They know who you are. They know where you're going to be. Yet, you continue to do what you do.
I didn't say I was that smart.
Why do you do it, man?
Well, I I feel like
you
I feel
said
like
you
I've
could
sort
die,
of-
right? So why do you keep doing it?
Well, I haven't.
Death is not
That's
something
well.
simple. It's very
I know.
very heavy.
I know. And I probably shouldn't have gone out on the 17th, but I wasn't going to give them the benefit of scaring me off on the 3rd with what they did. I went out there to show them that I'm not afraid of them. I'm smarter than them in that sense. But I wasn't going to let them get the best of me. So I went out there to make an appearance more than anything and basically give them the big middle finger. And they were
Fuck
surprised to see me.
Antifa.
I know. They were really surprised to see me. But yeah, you know, I'm being cautious. So
Well,
I think,
I'm glad to hear that.
yeah, I think I might have a security team from now on if I do go back out, you know.
Everybody loves
don't
you,
want-
and
I don't
nobody
wanna do
wants to
that.
see anybody hurt.
I know. I don't want to be hurt either. And I also don't know that I'm going to tell you or show you anything that you haven't already seen from my live stream. So at this point, it's like, why go out? We now know that they're willing to assault me. They're willing to assault anybody else. You know, we know what these people are. We could show that video over and over again. If people don't watch, if they don't share, if they don't, get people to see what's going on and help people to understand, me almost dying again isn't going to make that story any different. Right? Me being hurt worse isn't going to make people go, oh, whoa, whoa. All of a sudden, WYSIWYG is like half dead and in the hospital room. Well, now, like, okay, Antifa's not cool. Everybody's going to be arrested. And that's the end of Antifa. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So what's the point? Like, what am I going to show you that you haven't already seen?
And that's not for me to answer. That's like a rhetorical question that you have to
I know.
come within. Yeah,
I know. So, you know, if I go out there again, it's, I don't know, you know.
Hey man, well,
So,
I mean, I hope you do. For the sake of, selfishly, I like to watch your stuff. So
yeah,
as a selfish reason, I hope you continue to stream. But as a guy who would say, if you're getting death threats, just make sure you don't die.
right. That's what we were trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid the knife in the neck or something stupid, or even somebody pulling out a gun.
Yeah.
I still can't talk about something that happened on Saturday, but boy, when I can tell you, I can't wait. These kids
don't talk anymore, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
These kids have gone to a whole new level, something we haven't seen in LA, and I cannot wait to be able to tell you what happened. But until
Good,
then,
I will interview you about it.
The 17th, and this one I'm going to give you because I think everybody.
Shizbang exclusive. Listen up.
This is a Drew Hernandez won't return my messages. I just want to talk to him. I want to talk to him because I don't know if you guys are aware, but Drew Hernandez was the biggest threat to me on the 17th, and I didn't know it was Drew Hernandez. When
Go ahead.
when the two Antifa kids, the one girl with the plastic what are they, hula hoop wrapped in bubble wrap, stopped me, trying to stop me from recording and walking back up. I was like literally 40 feet from the truck. I was going back to the truck because this was after the whole clash had happened and they were breaking everything up. I just wanted to get the truck so I was mobile again. And I was live streaming, and I go back to the backside of WYSIWYG, and the two Antifa kids that were with two green hats, which are the Lawyers Guild, all of a sudden they saw me and they about-faced and walked the same direction I was headed. And you saw them have like this little moment of conversation, and the two green hats left. Well, the green hats left because as lawyers and protectors, they can't be there when Antifa attacks. That's what I learned on the 3rd. That's the whole thing. It's like they have plausible deniability if they're not there.
Wow.
So
That's ridiculous.
I see them go, and I'm like, well, what are they going to do? There's all these cops right here. They're not going to give me a hard time. That would be stupid, right? Because who would do that with cops around? So they start harassing me, and then a bunch walk down from Wilshire, and there's this big tall guy who, I don't know if you guys have seen the Drew Hernandez sort of breakdown that he did in his studio. It's an hour, 10 minutes long. Fantastic. He breaks down and tells what Antifa's been doing. He puts it way better than I could ever do it. He's very clear about how Antifa's been acting, what their motivation is, how they do what they do, and really breaks it down without getting super specific, but does a great breakdown, but uses his body cam footage. So he had on this tactical suit and the helmet and all the stuff. And to me, he's directly to my right. And he's the one I'm watching because there are certain people, what we call the enforcers, that they wait for these moments. And I'm watching this guy off to my right stand there in this stance. And I'm like, trying to figure out what's going on. I don't recognize him, but I sort of recognize the eyes. I'm like, I feel like I know the person. I've seen him anyway. They start pushing back on me, and the cops are there, and I'm like, really? You guys aren't going to do anything? And somebody from the team a while back during the Hollywood suggested that I use this term. I feel threatened. Because to a cop, that is a trigger word that makes them
act.
Yes, it creates an action because it's a trigger word that when they hear that, they know that is a problem, and it's really effective. We used it in Hollywood, and I got such a laugh out of it because somebody's telling me in my ear, say this, say this, say this. So I repeat it, and the girl's like, we're not threatening you, and they totally changed their play. Because it was amazing. It was like kryptonite to them. Well, it didn't work. It didn't work in at the WYSIWYG, and the cops were like gonna let these kids do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. They weren't gonna interfere. And I'm like, seriously, this is what's gonna happen? But Drew Hernandez was the biggest threat, I thought, at that moment, because I know the big tall guy. He's just a mouth. But then there's this other guy, the Lumo, that's his Instagram handle. I know he is one of the ones that attacked Kaylin, and I know he's waiting to pounce too. So I'm watching Lumo on my left, and I'm watching this other guy who turns out to be Drew on my right, and I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. Even though I got cops right behind me, I'm like, okay, so what are you going to let them get away with? I'm waiting for somebody to pepper spray me. And the cops tell me to go down the street. So I go down the street. Well, the whole group follows me down the street towards another set of officers who don't give a shit about what's going on. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I just walked away from my vehicle. So I'll head back to where the other group of cops are and where the Patriots are. Well, I get down there. They won't let me join the Patriots. So I'm like, where am I going to go? And the public information officer says, you got to go this way, which is not where I came from, further away from my truck. And I'm like, okay, at this point, I know there's roaming bands of Antifa kids out. And ultimately, what ended up happening was I ended up ending my stream just so nobody could watch my stream to see that I was out there by myself and where I was at.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also got word that Villain had been pepper sprayed, and the team's trying to figure out exactly where he's at. And finally, as I'm headed in the right direction, it turned out Villain calls and he tells me where he's at, and I was half a block away and got over to Villain, and that's how that all ended. So it was interesting though, but it still upsets me. It pisses me off that Drew Hernandez turned out to be a threat to me. What I perceived as a threat really isn't a threat, but fuck, if he just winked at me, I would have been like, okay, I know something's up. Like Antifa wouldn't have winked at me, but if he had winked at me, I would have been like, oh, but you can't see a camera. You can't see anything on him. I just want to talk to the dude. I just want to have a conversation and go, look, you know, I know what you're doing. I know what you're trying to create. And I know what you're getting. And it turned out to be great footage. And the points he makes about this guy, the big tall guy, are excellent points. Excellent, you know, literally the racist in the conversation is the big tall Indian guy. And it was quite amazing to see his coverage of that and what happened. But I don't know. After everything that happened, it was not a good moment. And I you know, I was by myself. And I thought I had the police backing me up, and I didn't at that moment. And that's what pissed me off. So
did that change your feelings about the LA cops? Or
no,
it didn't.
No, I always knew that LAPD would not interfere unless there was a possibility of loss of life. But I knew that I needed to stay close enough to them to be a deterrent to what was going on. The night in Hollywood that they came over the back of me and slapped my camera to the ground, cops were 20 feet behind me. And it turned out so was Rocky Romano. And I thought, even till the moment I had a personal conversation with Rocky, that he was somehow involved in that. And I would imagine he caught it on camera. He says, I'll have to look and see if I got it.
What a donkey.
He would protect his friends. What?
What a donkey that guy is.
Total jackass, it turns out. I gave him the benefit of the doubt when he called me and he said he sent me a direct message on Instagram reaching out and wanting to have this conversation. He actually wanted to set up, he wanted to do an interview. Him and I sit down for questions, and he wanted CJ to do an interview live stream because CJ was coming into town. He thought that would help clear up the air with me and Antifa to help save my life.
I was going to say I haven't seen CJ in a minute, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And then in the end, he backed out because he told me that the left, his friends, did not want him talking to me. So,
wow.
And I had an honest, frank conversation, just like I've had with Villain and other people, exactly who I am, what I'm about. Ask me anything, you know, I'll tell you. And I think Rocky sort of knew who I was and that I've been pegged as something that I'm not by these people. And he's like, we need to tell this. We need to have this conversation. And he's like, I'll let you have the questions in advance. I'm like, I don't need them. I don't have anything to hide. You can ask me anything you want to. You know, he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I said, we don't even need CJ. Why don't you and I just sit down in front of a camera and do a live stream and have whatever conversation you want?
Right.
I said, I don't even need to ask you questions. I don't really care what you're doing, you know? But if you want to ask me anything, go for it. If you think it's going to help solve this problem of media getting attacked by people, I said, I'm happy to do it. And then an hour later, he called me and he was basically canceling it. But it wasn't until 7:30 the next morning. He's like, yeah, we can't do it. They won't let me.
Who's they?
And then he lied about the team, his team. They did not want him talking to me. So it turns out that the night that they swiped my camera and tried to steal my gear in Hollywood, which was the Saturday night, the repeat of the Dante Wright vigil, as we're going back down Sunset Boulevard, back towards the vigil site, there's a press girl that is having a conversation with me. And It turns out she is the wife of Rocky's partner. And her and I were having this conversation. And I was a little heated. I was a little pissed off. And I thought she was setting me up at that moment. I didn't think she was trying to talk to me as much as just distract me, because I don't trust any of them at this point. And So she had her hand in canceling this conversation. Rocky told me that the people on his team and his friends that were hearing that he was going to do this said, no, don't do it. We don't talk to WYSIWYG. He's a neo-Nazi, whatever, the terms they use.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, we don't talk to people like that. We don't give them that time. So that's why he canceled it.
Well,
I was really disappointed.
Take. Yeah, that's an insane take on you. So,
and he literally tried to create social media posts saying that didn't happen, and trying to, I'm like, you can say whatever you want, Rocky. I know exactly why you called, and I said it, and I'm not, that's the truth, and I get it, So.
All right.
He didn't like being hit in the back of the head. I didn't like him being hit in the back of the head either. I didn't like James Clute getting attacked, But they also can't understand why these attacks are happening, because people aren't taking responsibility for the lies that they put out and the doxing that occurs over good people who are having a hard time getting jobs because of this war that they're having online. So, and the fact that, a guy was getting attacked by a group of people, and, this fella came up and tried to create a distraction. So he hit the guy wearing the helmet on the back of the head with a wooden block, who, so I don't know. There's a lot of ways to look at it.
The division that the war between people online is creating between the population is outstandingly great. I don't mean that in a good. I don't mean great like good. Yeah. I mean like big, like gigantic.
Yeah, and getting worse.
Yeah, it's getting worse, and everyone could say, well, people should come together. Humanity should come together, all that. But the reality is, the differences between people's basic philosophies, especially with fake news, telling people to basically. Conditioning people to think a certain way and giving them their opinions. Basically, Here's your opinion today. Here's your opinion tomorrow. So if people are continuing to think that way, the division will keep getting greater and greater. And that's just the way that we're going to continue to live until the J media, or the mainstream media, MSM, decides to stop brainwashing the population. Is there any?
Well,
I
agree with that in a lot of ways, and I thought it was even a little more simple than that, because I thought what I was seeing over these last few months, that people had a lot more in common than we all thought, and that ultimately we want safe neighborhoods, we want to feel safe in our lives, in our worlds, and both sides actually care about people. Oddly, they don't claim that each other does, but they actually do care about people. But it sort of come to this spot where there's the people who want everything for free and socialism, and the people who don't want everything for free and don't want socialism will never agree on that. Yeah. And that will keep them apart forever. Even though they still have, they don't like big government, they want more freedoms. There's a lot of things that they could actually agree on, and should be all at the Capitol, having their voices heard and, making change. Nobody wants to see police killing people. How that happens and how that stops, there's a total discussion about
police that. Police kill way more white people than they kill black people, but just
exactly. There's a lot of nonsense involved with that whole thing, and frankly, we just need to stop pulling guns on cops, and we won't get shot. Whether you're any color, right? America. You don't pull a weapon. You don't. That was the greatest thing. Is on the 17th, some Antifa girl thought it was a smart idea to pull a can out and put it out in front of her and spray an officer with silly string. He shot her with a rubber bullet at 6 feet away.
It's never a smart
just
idea.
Silly string. A cop doesn't know it's fucking silly string. Nor should you be doing that to a cop, because what you get is shot. She's lucky it was just a rubber bullet, and that it'll just leave a little mark for a little while. But that's how, like, I don't even want to call it the stupidity, just the dishonesty of what everybody's doing. You know,
They
it
don't
turns out
understand what they're doing. They're doing
They
what they're
don't.
being
They don't get
told to do, basically, by movies, TV, the news, those weirdo politicians, like the fucking celebrities, everything.
Yeah.
Okay, now they have a whole. I don't understand who's behind it. I don't understand what the string is that attaches all this together, or maybe I do. But the thing is, there's a reason why this Antifa shit is going down, and there's a reason why everything. They say that they're being oppressed, okay? But if they're so oppressed, why is every single corporation on their side? Why is every commercial
pandering to them?
Exactly.
Yeah, giving them money? Like, that doesn't look like oppression to me.
Me neither, buddy.
I know.
So there's some bigger narrative where this thing is being pushed on American population, the dumb ones that can't think critically, with low IQ, I guess, because
I just think they don't care.
Well, they should care a little bit more, I guess, because the country's gonna
They
start
should.
to go to shit.
Right. They should care. People should, because when they start to care, it's going to be too late. It'll already be done and over with.
I agree.
You know, that's what they don't get. They want to be left alone. They want to live their lives and be happy and free, but they don't realize that their freedoms will be gone before they're aware of it. And I hate to think that that's what this is all about, but it sort of is.
No, it's important to show, like, just like the beginning of our whole conversation here, to show what's really happening and what they're really doing, because no one else is showing that. Nobody else is showing that. Nobody.
Right. I've watched it happen in my line of work over the last 30 years, that it's changed without me being aware of it because I haven't paid attention. And now that I've lost the benefits and the things that they used to have, there's no getting them back. And now it's just another, what am I going to lose this time? Now it's my freedom to go to work without a vaccine shot because, you know, the people who fight for the employees said, no, you know, we wanted to make sure that you have your rights, but yeah, we had to give them up a little bit. They literally did that. So as of Monday, you now have to be vaccinated to work on film sets because that's what the producers are going to require, because that's what they believe. And they don't care whether that's your rights.
In California,
because to them,
like
it's not your right
country
anymore.
Yeah, it's like a different country over there.
So
they got their own.
If you think it's not going to happen, there's plenty of evidence to show you, to wake you up, that it happens before you know it. So anyway, that's enough of my politics for the night.
I have a few more questions to ask you. I had 3 more questions, but one I might skip over.
Did you actually have all these questions prepared?
No.
No, you just been okay.
I'm
an open book. You can ask me anything.
Here's what I have. I have a notepad. For some reason, I have a Google tab with the state abbreviation for Idaho, and I've been writing down my questions in this URL thing.
All right.
And then referring to them.
What's your least favorite question that you have of those 3?
The one that I was gonna possibly skip was, because it's the least interesting, but it's still interesting. A good question I wanted to get to. How did you meet Steve, PT News? How do you know that guy? What did your friendship start, and how did it blossom?
That's easy. That's because Katie was in contact with him, and in fact, we were out in front of LA police headquarters the day after the 2 sheriffs had gotten shot the night before in their vehicle.
I remember that.
Right?
The guy went up and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. And Katie's like, here's the phone. I'm like, what is this? And it was Steve wanting to bet me because he was going to be calling me to be able to get messages to Katie while she was streaming. So that's how I met Steve.
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
And then how did the relationship grow? Or how did it blossom?
With Steve?
Yeah.
It became sort of like these check-ins about what was going on, what we were covering, what was happening during these times and these events, and it just was talking about the live streams and what was coming up in the days that I was going to be hanging out. So
well, that was
kind of became that middleman between her and Steve, because she was busy talking to her guy that she was, her back end guy that was paying attention and covering all this stuff, her mod, and who's a great guy, by the way. I won't say his name, but super smart. But yeah. So that was that.
All right. So these next two questions are more personal, a little bit, not super personal, but
okay.
After these two questions, we're probably gonna end this thing. We've been going for quite a while.
Yeah,
but
I imagine it's getting late, especially on the East Coast. Oh yeah, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast.
Going for about 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
And on over here in the Midwest, the time is about 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But I don't want the fact that we're gonna end this and that it's getting late to deter you from going into detail with these next questions. Like, if you don't want to answer them, that's cool. But if you do want to answer them, and we have all the rest of the time to go into as much detail as we want. We don't want to cut anything off. No rush. We're not in any rush here.
All
right. So the first question is, during this interview, I've noticed a couple times you've brought up that you've been working a camera for about 30 years, presumably in Hollywood or LA. Your previous career or what you've been doing, or maybe your current career, I don't know anything about it. And since you talk about it, can you tell me about it? What you've been doing for the past 30 years with cameras?
So, I move the camera. I work as part of a 3-man team. So it's the camera operator. He pans and tilts the camera. She, he, whoever it is, pans, tilts the camera. Sometimes they're also a Steadicam operator. Sometimes they're an underwater camera operator. Sometimes whatever type of camera person. You have a focus puller who determines what's in focus. And then you have a dolly grip, myself, as the person moving the camera platform, whether that's a specialized camera dolly or crane or handheld. I'll work with the camera operator, guide him around, keep him safe, sort of like his bodyguard, right? You build a lot of trust. You work together as a team. That's my specialty on set. So I don't touch the camera. I do. Sometimes it's taking it off the guy's shoulder. I'll support the camera department. But I didn't go into the camera department because I thought they were all a bunch of stuffed shirts back in the day. Because when I started in the film business, it was film, and you had to be extremely regimented and
actual film.
And
imagine that, chat.
They were really uptight sons of bitches working in the camera department, and I thought they were snooty. I thought, it wasn't the same sort of tech coming out of video and TV and whatnot. I actually sort of got started doing training videos for the federal government, training at what's called the FLETC, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Brunswick, Georgia.
That's interesting.
And used to do some fun stuff. And I was a camera operator. I was a grip. I was a Steadicam operator. All kinds of fun stuff, running through live firehouses, training with SWAT teams, and everything from weapons to rappelling to whatever they taught all the agencies that started out as like boot camp. I learned about bombs. I learned about all kinds of fun stuff. Having to record these videos, and I also learned some really tragic stuff because I'd filmed the graduations for the Border Patrol officers. All the classes that went through, I'd record their graduations. And every time there was a death at the border, it was mourned at the FLETC, because every one of those people came through Brunswick, and there was one a week or more. It was really tragic. So, and this was back in the 90s, because it's such a dangerous job as a federal officer working the border, that it was the most dangerous spot to be.
That's tough.
But yeah.
So you've been doing it for 30 years. When did you start doing it in California for Hollywood?
I moved out to California in 1996, right after the Olympics in Atlanta.
Oh.
And I had been working in the film business in Georgia and whatnot, and then I came out to LA in '96 and worked my first movie, that was the end of the.
Tell us the movie.
It was a really strange movie called A River Made to Drown In, starring Richard Chamberlain and what's his name?
Chat, look this one up.
It's
A River Made to Drown In with Wilt Chamberlain.
Not Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh.
Richard Chamberlain.
Richard Chamberlain.
Two completely different people.
Wait, Wilt Chamberlain was an athlete, wasn't he?
Yeah, it'll come to me.
Yeah,
little tiny guy that was sidekick to what was the gangster TV show on HBO? He's dead now. The actor that played the boss.
Was it Michael Imperioli?
Yes, Michael Imperioli. Yeah, it was one of Michael Imperioli's first movies. He plays a street hustler, a gay prostitute working the streets of Santa Monica. In fact, I was going to tell this part of the story, but you pulled it out of me. The location for that movie is right where I had the run-in with Shiloh on Santa Monica Boulevard. Yeah, that's how fucking weird and like, in fact, both corners, because
life is
directly
cyclical,
across the street
baby.
from the location. What?
Life is cyclical, man. It's a circle.
It's fucking weird how it happens. But where Antifa ran up to us was in front of the loft where we shot this movie. Most of the movie was shot in this loft. I was parked directly in front of it in the street, and I remember doing dolly moves out there, and it was one of those weird moments. I'm like, how could I have come back to this in this way, and then having this moment? And every time I drive by that spot, I think about working on that movie. And it was my first Hollywood movie was Something to Talk About. Something to Talk About was my first major motion picture, which was in Georgia before I even knew what being a grip was, to this movie being my first feature in California, in Hollywood. My mom thought it was great that I was working with Richard Chamberlain. Little did she know what the movie was and what it was about. And
I'm gonna watch this movie, by the way. What part?
I don't know that I've even seen it. That's the really sad part.
What?
Also, little fun fact is it's directed by Richard Smithy, or
Alan Smithy. Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia for it.
Do you know what Alan Smithy is?
No.
It's a fictitious name, because the producers were so pissed apparently at the director, and something happened I didn't even know about, that when they don't want to give a director credit, it's directed by Alan Smithy, and it's a total bullshit credit.
Can I read what the Wikipedia says? This is hilarious.
Sure, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Alan Smithy is an official pseudonym used by film directors who wish to disown a project.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I had no idea, but I never worked on an Alan Smithy film, and I had no idea until years later that the very first movie I did was an Alan Smithy film.
That means they hated it so much that no one wanted to attach a name to it.
Okay. See, I had my story all wrong. I knew Alan Smithy was a pseudonym, but yes, that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah. I just learned that a few years ago. That I yeah.
They wanted to disown the project.
Okay. All right. So I remember the director. He was actually a really cool guy. It was a great crew and
Alan
really
was a
interesting
cool
movie
guy,
to
huh?
work on. And yeah, no, I remember him as being really interesting as a director. Yeah.
Alan must have been great.
Yeah. I remember the makeup artist was dating the doctor from popular TV show at the time, L.A. The heck was it? There's all kinds of good stuff. It was a fun, very memorable film for me. Being my first one in LA and living in Echo Park of all places. With another grip, which was at the time like really a tough neighborhood, not the hipster part of town that it was, and getting the full LA experience being here. It was a neat way to come out to LA.
What is LA like? What was
For
it
somebody like
before,
me?
and what is it like for you now?
I feel like LA has been the same since I came out here. It's not someplace that I feel like I fit into. There's things I like about LA. I love the food. I love, the mountains and the beach and that you can do all of these different things all in one day. Not that I've ever truly done it, but I like to dirt bike. I like, I surf. Haven't surfed in a while, but you have a lot of opportunities of things to do, which is really interesting. I don't like that it doesn't have lakes and fishing and whatnot. It kind of does, but
Shout out Midwest lakes.
Yeah, it's not like Midwest. It's desert lakes. It's stocked ponds, and apparently Castaic has great bass fishing, but it's just not fun. Like I don't enjoy taking the kayak up there and just getting hammered by the heat all day long.
Yeah.
It's not like the Georgia lakes and some of the other places, but I don't know. I'm not impressed by celebrities. I like cars. It's a great car town. I fanboy over directors, cameramen that have, shot some of my favorite films. Meeting George Lucas was a highlight to me. Having George Lucas ask me about what I was doing, I thought was really cool. What's that? What you got there?
Okay, hold on. You see this?
Okay, it's coming. I see something. What am I looking at?
Let me turn this light off.
Kind of blown out.
Hold on.
Kind of blown out a little bit. What do you got in your hands? Is that an X-Wing? No, that's a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
And that is Luke Skywalker.
And that's me as a little boy.
No kidding.
You met George Lucas, but I met Luke Skywalker, man, in somewhere in Milwaukee.
That's awesome.
Actually, he was debuting, or he was doing some what was it, like press for his Dunes movie. Like the movies after he was done with Star Wars, he did some Dune movie.
Right.
But my mom, she put that Star Wars shit on me, got that Star Wars toy, and we went out there, and I got that picture. It sits right here, and I'll never forget it because I love Star Wars. It's amazing to me that you met George Lucas. Actually, I was gonna ask you my next question, which is
his kids were a fan of Angel, the TV show. Oddly enough,
Angel. My mom watched that show. Isn't that the Buffy spinoff?
Yeah, that was one of my first TV series that I did.
What? My mom loves Angel.
It was an interesting show.
I watched a ton of Angel as like a 10-year-old, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was fun. Some good memories.
Good God.
My first injury on set was on Angel. Not that I've had many injuries on set, but it was the Paramount backlot. Got me.
I wanted to go into you with the TV shows you've done, the movies you've done, the celebrities that you know and that you met, and I wanted to get into your team that you keep talking about. You keep mentioning your team. I want to talk to you about your team, or not if you don't want to, because remember, anybody could watch this.
I know.
So, do you want to?
They know.
You want to keep
they
going?
know who they are. They know how special they are. They know the roles that they play, and they know how much I appreciate them.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that because, it seems like you do have obviously a really great team and they help you out. They tell you important things. You've talked about them a lot. You've mentioned them a lot. And you know what? I wish I had a good team as good as you.
I wish I could tell you more about
Don't.
all the people that help in their ways, and I just it's me out there on the street, and I want to make sure that everybody else is just safe and not, they don't exist for safety.
That's good.
And that's truly all it is.
That's why.
Because we've seen what people are capable of doing, and the extents they're willing to go, and I lost one because of that, and yeah. So
and Tifa, they are insane,
yeah.
And so yeah, that's why I said earlier, like, go into as much detail or as little detail as you want. And I don't want you to say anything.
Of course.
So
no, you can always ask me anything. There's not much I won't tell you, but that's it's one thing I've learned is that part we got to keep under wraps.
All right.
So, but they're amazing. They're all amazing, and they do amazing work.
Shouts out to the team.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on then. Now, we went through your 30-year camera career and your team, but now you've also you made me come up with a few more questions now. So how many celebrities do you know? How many have you met? Let's go through them. Let's go through them all. Obviously, Richard.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Chamberlain and James Duvall. James Duvall was on that film.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to meet and work with some really great people. And it's one of the things that I like about being on the dolly is it gives me a creative outlet. You see my brushstrokes on the work that I've done, and I like that a lot. But it also gives me, because I'm at the camera, and even more so now because we're sort of got these robotic heads, and it'll just be me and an actor. It'll be me and an elephant. It'll be me and whatever's going on in a room, and it makes it even better. I just finished up a movie before COVID, and the lead actress and I worked really closely together because the camera movement that we were doing and the action that she had created a really great friendship, and it was one of the best experiences I've had working alongside two amazing women that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I've never had that closeness with actors because of being in these tight spaces and having to work literally on top of each other to make a shot and do something really weird. And I hope when this movie comes out, I hope it's as cool and interesting as what I believe these directors are going to make it. But that's the stuff that I really appreciate. But, actors are actors. Some can be really nice. Some can be real jackasses. Usually it's the kids that are, immature and whatnot. But the old time actors, the true filmmakers are amazing. So,
but you're not name dropping as much as I want you to. George Lucas.
I know. No,
Come on, man. Give me something.
I've just.
All right, talk about George Lucas then. Just talk about meeting George Lucas.
That was just a weird, odd, random story. The guy shows up on set with his kids, and we were shooting in the main Angel. So Angel TV show, the first season, had this awful set of sets that were so cramped. We were always having so much trouble shooting that the director of photography said, hey, for season 2, can we figure out a way to make the sets bigger? So what they did was they basically wrote in that at the end of the season, the place would blow up. And so they moved to a new location for season 2.
Okay.
Um,
That's hilarious.
and that's how they solved that problem. And so season 2, George Lucas's kids are fans of the show and they wanted to come visit. And so if George Lucas says, "Hey, can we come visit?" Apparently, yeah, when do you want to come, right? So they showed up and they were, hanging out with us, and he was like curious about, the dolly, and I'm like, I did not know about this stuff. It's just asking these really weird questions, and for some reason just wanted to hang out by the camera, which as a director, I would suppose that's where I'd want to hang out too. And so he hung out with us for a couple hours, and his kids watched, and watched TV get made, and it was great fun. It was a highlight.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, that was fun. So,
yeah, man.
George
Lucas
you get to meet
some of the best movies I've ever seen.
But he's just a dad like the rest of us. When it all comes down to it, he's got millions of dollars, but he's a person and a dad. And Steven Tyler was there on another show with me for his kids. And it's like, that was first and foremost, is his kids were big fans of this other show. And the actress was their age, and they met at a Disney, like, Nickelodeon thing. And it was like, "Hey, you want to come do the show?" And he's like, "Sure, I'll come do the show. Can the kids come hang out?" "Yeah, we'll make it a Christmas episode." And before you know it, Steven Tyler's playing Santa Claus. And, it's just, people are people first and foremost. And that's what brings us all together. And that's what makes these cool stories and connections. And when you realize that, and it's the film business, it's about what you're all doing as a team that makes it come out really great. And then you've got the young kids that come in who think they're the bee's knees, and they're just assholes on set, and you don't want to be there, and they're annoying, and you work harder because they can't hit their marks and they can't remember their lines. They don't actually know how to act. And thankfully, because of camera crews and editors, they can fix the shots and make these kids look like heroes. And really, they're useless.
So
they're sort of the Antifa of the filmmaking world, which is really weird because I just kind of put that together. But
well, what is it, like these Instagram stars or these YouTube people that are making movies, or what is it, Disney stars? Who are we talking about here?
Yeah, the younger the Disney stars. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, some of them can be. I had one that we were doing, like, there's
just say it, Logan
working
Paul.
in the film business. What?
Logan Paul, right?
No, not even. So I won't tell you his name. He was a huge, like,
dang it,
tween celebrity. But we're doing this show, and the most difficult stuff to shoot is when it's sensitive. It's somebody's naked, pre-coital, post-coital, sex, whatever it is.
This is easy to shoot.
It's the most difficult, and you want to be professional. You want to get the job done, but you gotta make it happen. Well, this actor and the female lead, or not, she's one lead. They were just TV show. They kept stacking their heads, and he would bury himself behind her. So I'd have to move the camera out a little bit to open him up, and I could only put so much dance floor down to move the camera to get the shot that the director of photography wanted. And I'm trying to be polite. I'm trying to be nice to him. And I needed him to actually be aware of the camera, where it's at. And he's one of those actors, and he couldn't do it. And then he started asking me, "Hey, your dolly's coming off the dance floor. You're doing this, you're doing that." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm trying to keep you in the shot. If you leaned your head over this way a little bit, unburied yourself, I wouldn't have to go so far." "Oh, okay." So he keeps doing it, and we didn't get into a fight on set, but I finally had to go, "Look, don't worry about what I'm doing. You just try to act and do your thing, and I'll do my thing, and we'll get through this." And I ended up having to, the dollies don't have suspension. They're all rigid. So I can send a wheel off and not, and I do this, and I was just pissing them off at this point, but you get it. And you make it through the day. But there's other actors, the real pros, they understand what the camera's doing. They know when the camera moves, they know what it's doing. They know that I'm going to match their speed. They know that I'm looking for cues from them, their shoulder tips, so that I know when they're going to move. I read the actors the way you would read a script, in different ways of watching their body movement, because you can't stand up, you can't move without making certain gestures. And the real pros know how, and they also know when they're doing something that might be like causing you a little bit of trouble. You might be flinching you out or doing something. They'll come up and they go, "Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I didn't mean to catch you, or, I won't do that this time. I'm going to just go." Okay, cool. Perfect. And you just work together and you find a rhythm, and they want to make it as perfect as possible as you do, but it's filmmaking. You have to compromise on something, and that's what ends up happening. But yeah.
Thank you for that. That's very amazing explanation. No, this is good. These are
I
the
try
perfect
to
answers
try to
I'm
cram it in
trying to
there,
get.
but
So I was gonna ask you about your credits. You didn't really you did mention George Lucas and Steven Tyler, but you did not want to mention anymore. I get that, but do you want to talk about any of your credits of movies or TV shows before my last question to you? We're gonna cut this off after this, guys, because it's been really long. I gotta say thank you for joining us here on the Shizbang channel, WYSIWYG. We always love to watch you, and it's been very cool that you said yes to doing this.
It's been an awful lot of fun.
I also had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And maybe we should do it again sometime.
Definitely. Anytime. I'm happy to. And I don't normally sit down and do studio shows. So it's not typically what I do. Everybody likes the fireside chats. Occasionally we do a fireside chat when I feel like there's something I can talk about, but it's just not normally what I do.
Well, this is more of a long form podcast type interview.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do.
Yeah.
But as my final question before we let you go tonight, your movies and your TV shows, you mentioned Angel and The River Made to Drown In. Anything else that you would like to mention that us as a community could go ahead and watch later as fans of yours? As fans of what you've done on the internet. Now maybe we could branch off into your work. And also, what's your favorite scene that you've done that you mentioned it, you can create your own brushstrokes on the film? Maybe what's a good scene, one of your most scenes that you're proud of that shows your work?
That's a tough one.
It's built in. It's a compounded question.
Yeah.
Don't forget about the credits part.
A movie I did years ago called Panic with William H. Macy and Donald Sutherland. It's a really interesting story. The movie didn't get a whole lot of hoopla, but it's got some really beautiful shots, and Donald Sutherland and William H. Macy are two amazing actors. Most memorable is Musso and Frank's restaurant in Hollywood. We did a scene where it's the three of us, and they're such excellent actors that every bite of food, where the fork lifts, they like what they call matching and continuity from the actors and how they deliver their lines and what they do. They're amazing. And it was one of the most incredible scenes to watch that I've done, being shot and being a part of that, and the camera movement that was involved. And it's just a really fun movie and an interesting story, because it's the story of assassins, hitmen, and the family business. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. So, but there's always something on every film. As a dolly grip, the very first movie that I pushed dolly on was in Georgia and North Carolina, Silva, North Carolina area. It's where I fell in love with pushing dolly, and the emotion of it is, for me, it was a dolly track a tracking shot underneath an old barn. And as the dolly moves and reveals this couple coming in on a horse, they get off the horse and the camera keeps going, and then it booms up through a whole new floor to reveal this party that's going on. And we're talking about a hole that's about 2 foot square. I've got to send the camera operator, who's also the director of photography, and the camera, and get it up through the floor so he can operate and do his thing. And it's pretty high pressure for somebody who's new to pushing dolly and doing this. It creates an emotional state when everything comes together, and the ballet of the movement, and it's all smooth and speed is right, because you can do certain things without having to go fast, but when you have to track something and match its speed and then get through a hole, and the camera's going to pan and do just certain things at a time, it's an energy, it's an excitement, like chasing after Antifa, where you feel that. And when you make that shot and they call cut and you go, phew, I didn't fuck that up, you really feel that emotion, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really great thing because there is so much pressure, and over the years you just sort of, certain things become second nature, and what the hands are doing, the two hands are doing one thing, the feet are doing another. Sometimes you're running, sometimes you're walking, sometimes you're backwards, sometimes you're forward, sometimes you're left-handed, sometimes you're right-handed, sometimes you're having to use limbs that you don't have in order to make things do something that they shouldn't do, and it can be an awful lot of fun. So moving a camera through a three-dimensional space to match what people are doing, what somebody envisions they're seeing, and it's a challenge that sometimes is really hard, that as the watcher of a movie, you may not realize how much work went into a shot, but the simplest shots can be very difficult.
I believe that, man.
Yeah, and a lot of fun, and I like to be challenged. I like to be given that really difficult shot. How can we do this and make it work? How do I fit 10 pounds of shit into an 8-pound bag with the tools that we have available? Okay, well, let's see what we can come up with. And before you know it, you're shoving cameras in washers and dryers and doing weird things, and hopefully making somebody go, wow, that was really cool. Thanks for doing that. So that's what it's all about.
The filming that I've seen you do, which is the stuff that you've done for WYSIWYG, has been really great. High quality, good cameras, good everything. iPhone? You're on
iPhone.
You're on a phone right now, aren't you?
I'm on the phone that I use for WYSIWYG.
That quality of that thing is really damn good.
It's all about where the light is.
I have lighting right here.
I try to move the light, or try to put the sun where it makes the camera look best. I try to make sure the lens is clean. I try to make sure it's stable. I try to make sure it's pointed in the right direction. The things I can control are what I try to improve on every time.
I gotta get better at that stuff. Maybe you can teach me some things one day.
I'd be happy to help you.
Well, listen up.
I'd like to help a lot of other streamers too, because they cover some good stuff very poorly sometimes.
This is very true.
So, and sometimes it's just a setting on your gimbal.
The gimbal thing. I have to get a gimbal. Maybe you can tell me which gimbal to get.
DJI Ronin.
DJI Ronin?
Yeah.
Okay.
A gimbal that keeps a horizon locked.
Okay.
That's my secret to success. I'll tell anybody and everybody. If you can keep that horizon locked, you can move the camera around all over the place, not pay attention to it, and your camera's not tipping up and looking all over the place like some other people.
Out here in Wisconsin, there ain't a lot of protests, but in Minneapolis there are. I'm thinking about getting into some more live streaming. So
there's always something interesting going on someplace that I find, if you can photograph it nicely and show it, people are interested, I hope. Mostly I'm interested. Like, I don't know, did you ever see the Corvette Museum live stream I did?
Yeah, I love that. I fall asleep to that every night.
Yeah.
I never saw
I
it,
had
buddy.
more fun doing that, but I like stuff like that. Walking around a flea market, I do it for me. I enjoy, that stuff, and what I think is cool. I'd like to show people, and I hope that people want to watch it and see it. They don't, but I enjoy doing it. If I didn't enjoy doing it, I wouldn't do it.
Do you
It wouldn't
think
be any fun.
Do you think people would enjoy if Elon Musk gave me a Cybertruck and I live streamed me going to all the national parks in America with a
I think that would be phenomenal.
backpack?
I'd be your cameraman for that. Yeah,
Really?
I'd be a cameraman for that. Absolutely.
I'm trying to get Netflix and Elon
Absolutely.
Musk to pick this thing up. I'm about to tweet
Yeah,
at him
that'd be
tomorrow.
great. Yeah. How are you going to charge it though on the way?
I don't know.
Especially in the national parks. I feel like that could be trouble, but
You could get a detachment for solar panels on the roof. 15 hours for 150 miles. Not great.
Okay.
But or they could swap
that's okay.
out.
Yeah, you're going to take your time
Cybertrucks.
anyway at some of these places. Yeah. Supercharger. Yeah.
Yeah, the supercharger things. I think it's a great Netflix series that I'm trying to do.
Why not?
Why not?
Cybertruck through the national parks.
Every national park.
That'd be great fun. Yeah.
Very fun.
How great it would be for our national parks to be all Cybertrucked.
And there's a ton of national parks.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard to live stream in because most of them don't have internet.
I guess we'd have to just record it then.
Yeah.
Release episodes
in some places.
On Netflix.
Not everywhere. I actually just recently had this conversation with somebody else about it. And there's certain areas in the national parks where they do have Wi-Fi because there's no cellular. So it creates a safer environment because people can use the Wi-Fi to send SOS help and whatnot. But yeah, they're working on it. But yeah, there's ways.
Yeah, they need to have the SOS emergency call.
Yeah,
gotta have that.
So yeah.
Well,
hey, anything's fun. Whatever. I guarantee whatever entertains you, you're gonna find enough people to enjoy it. Like I was telling you about the guy that goes out and shoots the boats going in and out. Like he gets massive views. It's pretty video. There's usually some girls in bikinis and guys that are topless and shirtless, whatever, and a little something for everybody. But mostly it's kind of exciting watching boats go in and out of this harbor because they're just getting rocked and sinking and getting flooded, and then there's always some tragedy going on. But
oh my goodness.
You find what makes you, and if you love it, people will love it with you.
It's good advice.
Try.
We're gonna have another conversation at some point.
Definitely. I hope so. I hope so. I'll make sure I have plenty more beer or whatever to enjoy with you while we're doing it.
That's right. So, I'm gonna get more White Claw also when we do this at some point.
Okay.
So
and there's always a world in which with this Discord thing we can maybe even do some man on the street live with the Discord video as an overlay or something. I don't know. We could come up with some. I have a lot of weird, crazy ideas. We just need somebody that can handle the tech on it. But
I'm all aboard, man.
Yeah. We just we got to get you up to speed on Discord.
That you have, I'm in.
Okay. All right. It was great talking to you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun. I'm glad everybody's hanging out with us and hearing this conversation.
And thank you for joining us and indulging me for this conversation and this interview that I've been trying to talk to you about, because all of this stuff we've been watching you, and I had so many questions, and I was glad to be able to
I think you've been reaching out to me since the 3rd, and it's now almost a month later. But you also did go on vacation.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, we kept getting sidetracked with, who's this guy that keeps trying to pressure me into something. I'm glad you did. I'm glad I don't say no to things these days.
I tried to get in touch with you. I didn't know if it was going to work out, and I know you're a busy guy, but I really wanted to talk to you, man. That's why I did it.
I'm mostly just fucking around, trying to take down Antifa.
Same. Well,
that's good.
Say goodbye to your fans.
Goodbye. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And Shizbang, it's awesome meeting you. I'm glad we did this. So.
I'm glad we did this
Do your
too,
thing.
and I wish to
Yeah.
talk to you again at some point in the future, buddy.
Okay. All right. Well, you know where to find me on Discord.
That's right. I know exactly
All right.
where to find you.
Awesome.
All right. See you later.
Till next time. See you,
That's
bud.
right.
Bye.
Until next time. Bye-bye.